Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters! Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Poor Lori. Scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode, wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now, we're on episode 37, and this is going to be a fantastic episode because we're taking a trip down memory lane to an old school horror movie that I absolutely love. And it's probably one of the greatest arguments in horror history, whether this was a defining moment in horror for slashers or just defining horror moment in general for all independent horror films at the time. But we are talking about 1974, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, what I mean by the greatest argument ever is a lot of people say, oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the original slasher movie, so it should be credited for being the first slasher. And then other people are like, no, that was too butchery and it's very grindhouse and old school. It clearly goes to Halloween, because that is a slashing 101. But then you got the people who are literally like, well, don't forget about Psycho, guys. That movie came out like 20 years for both of these guys almost. All right, not really 20 years. I think it was about roughly, 10 years or so, at least from Halloween. But, yeah, that's one of the greatest arguments, though, is which one of these movies was one of the defining moments for horror slasher. And I give credit to all three of them. To be perfectly honest, I give credit to all three of them, because they all three had basically the criteria for a good slasher movie. You know, you got your killer who's doing his slashing, hacking, and running amok, and that is what all three of these movies do. But this one in particular, like I said, very grindhousey feel, and it's purposely made this way because it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. And a lot of grindhouse films, I will say, make me a little uncomfortable because it's either the weird practical effects or just the graininess of the footage or shit. But I do love my grindhouse. Don't get me wrong. I love my grindhouse. I love my grindhouse film movies. This feels kind of like a grindhouse because it almost feels like you're not supposed to be watching this. Like, as weird as that sounds, it feels like you're watching something that you had legally stolen from like the police station or something, and you shouldn't be watching this because it's so raw. But what's funny about this movie is the fact that there's very little gore in this movie. Yeah, plot twist, everybody. If you remember this movie having shit ton of gore and blood and everything, you are mistaken. You are highly mistaken. It is not as gory as, at least as I remember. I remember being a kid watching this movie. I shouldn't have been watching this movie when I was a kid. Funny enough, I got my grandmother to buy me this movie, and I know it's a lot of y'all thinking, how the hell did you acquire that movement? Because you would think my grandmother would not want to buy, oh God, how old was I? I was a young teenager. I was at least 13, 14 years old, maybe a little bit younger than that. But yeah, there was a copy, and I have it right here. For those of y'all who can't see, y'all listening on Spotify right now, I am holding up my steelbook version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre I bought when I was a kid. And as you can see, it's very old. I love this though. It was the 2-disc Ultimate Edition. Apparently the original restore remaster. I love this movie. I watch it religiously, and you could literally see from how worn out the cover, you know, everything's peeling off of it because it's just so old. It's so old. But yeah, my grandmother ended up getting her to buy this for me because plot twist, or even bigger plot twist, it's not rated. Yeah, I don't know if that was an accident on on whoever distributed this particular version of the movie, but yeah, it's not rated. So she didn't ask any questions, and all she saw was Chainsaw Guy, and she asked me, "Why do you want a movie with a guy with a chainsaw on it?" And I was just like, "Cause it's horror. It's part of horror." And she was like, "Oh, well, if you really want it, okay." And she just bought it for me. Now, having no clue what this movie was about, having no clue what the hell was going to happen in this movie, she was just like, okay, I'm going to buy it for you. Because she loved me. And she just wanted me to be happy. I got to stop doing that to my mom and my grandmother, though. Like, I mean, that's how I got my mom to buy me Clockwork Orange, too. At Walmart, they were selling it, and it was unrated as well. So listen, kids, you ever want your parents to buy you horror movies you shouldn't be buying? Buy an unrated copy. They won't ask questions. Or at least that's how it worked out for me. But I personally love this movie. Is it the greatest horror movie ever? No. And let me explain why. Yes, Bubba is iconic. The kills in the moment are very iconic. The behind the scene bullshit that was going on is also iconic. But the movie doesn't quite hold up very well to today's standards of horror movies because there's a lot of drawn out shots, and I get why some of it was used. Like when Pam walks into the house for the first time and she trips and falls into the room with all the bones and everything. Isn't that normally long? Like I want to say it's about like a minute long shot of just looking around at all the bones, the skeletons, Nugget the chicken clucking away and everything. Just abnormally long, but I guess it was just because they wanted us as the audience, just like Pam, to take all this in. We're looking at decaying rottenness in front of us, and this is very shocking. But also, you know, some other scenes are drawn out, don't really make sense in some kind of context. And what I mean by that is there's like a moment when they pull up to the gas station, they're asking the cook, hey, you know, do you have any gas? And he's like, no, I got no gas. And, you know, they proceed to have their normal conversation and then he walks away, right? Then the guys, because at this point the girls have walked out of the van, they're getting Coca-Colas and going to the bathroom and everything. But they're just sitting there like, you know, we probably should have asked him, you know, for directions for another gas station. Nah, he would have told us. Well, it doesn't hurt to ask. All right, let's go ask. You know, like, and there was like literally a whole section just dedicated to them talking about, all right, let's go asking for directions, just for him to walk out, go, well, he has no directions. I got barbecue though. Let's go to Franklin's dad's house. Like, you really could have edited that, maybe shined it up a little bit so it could have flown a little bit more naturally and didn't seem as weird, off-putting. And there's also things in this movie that really go nowhere. Like, case in point, the hitchhiker, when he is picked up and then thrown out of the vehicle a few minutes later, he, you know, of course, cut his hand with Franklin's knife, and he draws a symbol on the van. Now, I personally don't know if this symbol means anything. I've looked into the symbol and I really haven't come up with anything personally. But if y'all know something, please let me know in the comments down below. But I have no clue who this symbol is from, where it's at, why he wrote it there, and the movie doesn't tell us either. There's also an argument that happens between Sally and Franklin about halfway through the movie where it's just like, Sally, where's my knife? I gave it back to you. No, you didn't. Well, let me look for it. Couldn't find it. And then they drop it. And they even made like this whole big deal about Sally asking Franklin for the knife, because we see it in the movie because she's opening up a Coke and she's cutting up some of that barbecue. But it's never brought up again until that argument for no fucking reason. And, you know, I feel like it's kind of like a padded moment. And there's also some lines from Franklin that just get really, really repetitive. I'm not gonna lie, like, he makes it all about himself. Granted, it works for Franklin because the actor who played Franklin is a method actor, so everybody's look of disgust and annoyance towards him, all very real, by the way, all very real. But he portrays Franklin as a very, I'm gonna be honest, kind of a selfish guy, because all the conversations have to revolve back to him. Like when he's talking about the hitchhiker, he's like, "Is it something I did? Did I upset him? Like, what's going on here? What, do you think he was trying to scare us by blowing up my picture? Like, bro, we all just went through the same situation with you. You don't need to keep asking us over and over again." I mean, hell, even Sally gets annoyed at some points because he won't shut the fuck up and keeps asking stupid ass questions that he already knows the answer to. But it's little shit like that that makes it a not so polished, not so perfect movie. But I also take that as the charm of this movie. Because there's also some unsettling moments that are just thrown in here as well. Like a lot of like during the dinner scene, there's some up close camera perspectives of Sally's eye just like tweaking out, looking around as she's freaking out during the situation. When they're talking about the slaughterhouse, when they're driving by, there's a random cut of a bunch of cows in the slaughterhouse, and you hear them mooing and doing normal cow things. I've never been to a slaughterhouse, so personally, I don't know exactly all what they do in a slaughterhouse, but I've seen enough horror movies to know if you see them mooing and walking in a line, that means they're going to that dreaded room. So Godspeed and peace be with you, my cows. But yeah, other than that, it's still a solid horror movie. It's got some good scares. It's got some good building tension moments. It's got some funny moments. I'm not gonna lie. There's like when Sally's being chased. I've noticed some things, especially when I found out some of the fun facts about this movie, and especially why that chase scene in particular was just so funny to me. I'll explain that in a minute when we get to the fun facts. But let's go through the director and the cast and everybody. Like I said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in 1974. It was directed by Tobe Hooper, who, if y'all don't know who he is, he's been in a lot of horror movies, a lot of TV shows and everything. Eaten Alive was I don't know if a lot of people remember that one. I've seen it, but it's kind of like a Lake Placid before Lake Placid thing where a guy owns like a motel, I want to say, and he feeds his guests to the gator that's in the alligator that's in his back swamp area. Like, it's actually a really fun movie. It was really good. I watched that kind of like a back-to-back double feature after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Unfortunately, I don't have that one on DVD anymore. It sadly broke a few years back. Of course, the infamous movie that Toby was part of is Poltergeist. Everybody knows Poltergeist. And of course, there's that big argument of whether or not Steven Spielberg directed that movie or was it him. His name's on the cover, so I hate to say it, but it does feel like a Steven Spielberg movie through and through. I don't know if a lot of people know about this particular movie because it was like a little indie Stephen King horror movie. It's got Robert Englund in it, but it's called The Mangler. And it's about a possessed or a haunted mangling machine. I can't even say that with a straight face. It was a stupid fucking premise for a movie, but it was so much fun because Robert Englund just stole the show, being extra like pervy and creepy in that movie. We got Toolbox Murders, which I watched that one, funny enough, when I was a kid after watching Child's Play, and it like played back to back. I specifically remember this because I remember where the credits were rolling for Child's Play. I went to the bathroom, came back, and then another movie started, and I just sat there and I started watching it. I didn't know what the hell it was, but all I remember was that it was like a dark, stormy night at his apartment complex, and one of the kills that always stood out to me was this one where, I can't necessarily remember how he got her up there, but he ended up, like, nail gunning her or this woman to, like, the wall of her apartment and killing her that way. It was like really bizarre and shit. Because I remember people were walking into her room to check on her. Hey, is she alive? Because they heard strange noises. They didn't see her, so they walked out, closed the door, and then we get like a pan zoom back shot of her nailed to this wall that nobody saw. It was very creepy. And of course, another big one that y'all might recognize him from is Salem Lot, the miniseries that came out in the 70s. Not to be confused with the 2001. Granted, both versions are very good, but 2001, it has its charms. It's not like the old school one, but it has its charms. But yeah, Toby, he's been around the block. He knows his horror. He knows what he wants he knows what he wants and he knows how to achieve it, but doesn't mean he's always going to get it. And what I mean by that is Toby wanted to make Texas Chainsaw Massacre a PG movie, so that's why he purposely cut out all the gore. He literally was just like, I'm going to let the imagination take y'all on this ride here, but we're going to have very little blood and let y'all imagination do the rest. That backfired on him very, very hard. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, that backfired so hard on his ass that I think he needed to do a triple take on that, because they first gave him an X rating, right? So he had to trim it up a little bit more. Then they gave him an R rating, and he was like, I gotta be satisfied with that, but I really wanted that PG rating. And I'm going to be honest, in today's standards, it would be considered a PG-13 movie, maybe a very, very soft R. Like, just like, maybe throw in an F word, boom, there's your rated R right there. Because there's hardly any cussing in this movie. There is no nudity whatsoever. There's really no, like, crazy gore. Like, imagine if Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and let's pretend the reboot and the prequel didn't exist, and they were literally doing like a shot-by-shot remake of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Imagine how much bloodier a lot of those scenes would be, especially when Kirk gets hit upside the head with a sledgehammer that first time when he walks into the house. Brain matter would probably be just kind of pouring out a little bit, just saying. Imagine when Pam got hooked. Blood would be spraying off her back onto the walls. The wound, he takes the chainsaw to Kirk, cutting him in half. We probably would have seen the limb be dropped off with pools of blood just pouring down. Like, it could have been so much worse, but it's very clean and tamed up. Like, hell, I don't even mind showing my teenage sisters this movie, because my mom was really questioning it. She's like, are you sure? I remember this movie being bloody and, like, really disgusting. I'm like, no, it truly isn't, Mom. It truly isn't. I don't know if my sister's got a chance to ever sit down and watch it, but I know that's definitely a movie I do try to get her to watch, because, again, it's a genre-defying horror movie. It set up a lot of good standards for independent horror movies, and it actually held the highest grossing box office for an independent horror movie until Halloween. Halloween dethroned Bubba. Michael came out of nowhere and was just like, Bubba, put your chainsaw down. It's my turn to shine. Yeah, you gotta love that. But we got a fabulous cast. Funny enough, a lot of these actors actually have come back to play other members in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Like, straight up, they've actually come back and had a few little guest starring moments. You got Marlene Burns, who plays Sally. She was in The Next Generation. A lot of people are like, what do you mean she was in there? She wasn't in there. She was. It was uncredited, though. She was an uncredited Sally in that movie at the very, very end of the movie. I specifically remember this because, again, I have a little tiny soft spot for Next Generation. Y'all don't know about that. I have a very tiny soft spot for Next Generation. It may be one of the absolutely worst shitters of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise out of all the movies. But Matthew McConaughey, man, he steals the show. She was actually in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D playing Verna from the beginning of that movie. And she, I think, ended up giving birth to Heather, or whoever that bitch's name is from 3D. Because I'm going to be honest, guys, I do not count 3D as being canon to the story. And I know other people do, but I don't, because none of it makes fucking sense. Like, straight up. They hide the dates. They say that this child was born in the 70s, right? And this is supposed to be like early, like mid-2000s. But she's played by like a 22-year-old or something like that, like a young 20-year-old. That math don't add up. Okay, she was born in the 70s. She should be at least 40 at this point. Why you got a 20-year-old playing a 40-year-old? I don't know. Like, what is her skin routine or something? Like, I don't know. Fucking Buffalo Bill was trying to give her a call to figure out her skin routine, because she looks good for a 40-year-old. Yeah, I got my own gripes with 3D. I'm not gonna lie. I got my own gripes. It's like my least favorite. It's got some of the most corniest dialogues and some of the stupidest one-liners. Like, oh my god. Do you think, cuz? Like, fuck you. That is stupid as hell. Like, sorry, not sorry. That is stupid as hell. None of it makes sense. Bubba was on point in that movie, though. I'm not gonna lie. Bubba was on point. And also, she worked with Toby in the movie Eaten Alive. She played Faya. Love her in that movie as well. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2014 at the age of 65. And that's another trend you'll kind of see in this as well. They either worked together on a previous movie with Toby, have been in other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies later on, or have sadly passed away far too soon for my liking, to be honest. Then we get Alan Denziger. I think I'm saying his name right. I'm not sure. Danziger. Denziger. He plays Jerry. I didn't really find too much information about any kind of movies he did. A lot of these guys were unknown actors, and Toby purposely wanted to do that. He didn't want like big names drawing this in. He just wanted some unknown people to fill in the slots for these actors to save money, because he had a problem with budgets. Like, straight up. He was over budget. He overworked them, and he was really time crunched. I'm not gonna lie. He was really in a time crunch because he was so worried about the rental equipment and everything. But we'll get there when we get there. Paul Partrin, who played Franklin, he also was in Next Generation. He was a orderly, uncredited, with Sally. And, yeah, other than that, he really didn't show up at any other point. He is a method actor, though. He's got some good roles underneath his belt, but apparently he was a pain in the fucking ass to work with on this movie because he was so method. And Franklin is written to be a very annoying character. So when he was not on screen being annoying, he was behind the scenes being that kind of annoying little twerp. Trust me, I would have pushed Franklin into traffic if I was given the opportunity, because he is so fucking annoying, so selfish, and so caught into his own little world that he don't give a shit about what's going around, except for him. You got William Vale, who plays Kirk, another fine actor, really not much on him. Terry McMinnon, who plays Pam, same MO. You got Edward Neal, who plays the hitchhiker. He's done a lot of anime voices. I'm not gonna lie. He's been in like more voice acting than anything else. Animes, gaming, and if his voice does sound a bit familiar for those of y'all who are probably tuning into this podcast because y'all have played the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that has come out, I think about 2 weeks at this point, maybe 3. He does the voice for the hitchhiker on that one. He reprised his role to do the voice for the game. Kudos to him for being able to do that. Like, straight up, man. We got Jim Sluden, Sledow, Sluden, I think that's how you say his name. He's credited as Old Man, but we know him as the cook. We know him as the cook. We all know him as the cook. I don't care what they credit him in the movie as. He's the cook. He's always the cook. He would live as the cook. He would die as the cook. And unfortunately, in 2003, he passed away at 83, which he had a good, fulfilling life. Good for him. He was a very good actor. Very good actor. He actually reprised his role for the cook in the second movie. Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface. This man went through some hell and back in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. He went through some severe bullshit. So, the Bubba costume we see in the movie is the only Bubba costume. They didn't have the money for any extra costumes. So they looked at Gunnar and was like, yeah, man, do us a favor. Could you not wash your outfit? Because we don't have money to replace it if something would happen. Because the material was used, it could have easily ripped in the wash, and they just couldn't afford to take care of all this shit. So he didn't wash it at all. And they filmed for about 4 or 5 weeks in Texas with 90 to 110 degree weather. Let's just put it this way. He stunk. He smelled so bad that when they were on lunch breaks, nobody would sit with him. Nobody, because he smelled that bad. Poor Bubba. Also, another little fun fact about Gunner. Apparently this was the only role he has ever shaved his beard for. Which, frankly, he's wearing a mask, so you can't really tell, but apparently he shaved his beard for this role, and he's actually a very good-looking man with a beard. And turns out, he hated Paul, the guy who played Franklin, more than anybody else in the whole movie. And he, I don't know for how many years, just disliked the guy, just not Franklin, just the guy in general. And it wasn't until like some kind of reunion they had that he ended up sitting down and talking to Paul, and he was just like, oh, well, it makes sense now. You're a method actor. Okay, so I can't be too mad at you. And so it turns out they were really good friends at the end. I really liked that. Sadly, though, he passed away in 2015 at the age of 68. Other movies people might know him from, the one I recognize him from the most is Campfire Tales. It's a very fun little horror movie. John Dugan, I think that's how you say his name, D-U-G-A-N, Dugan. He played the granddad. Fun fact, everybody, he was actually the youngest person on the set. Everybody else, I think, was like 24, 25, in their 30s, shit like that. He was like 21, 22, or something like that. Like, he was young. Playing the oldest motherfucker in the whole movie. Oldest motherfucker. And also, he apparently hated to put that makeup on to be Grandpa, to the point that he refused to get back in the chair to do it again. So all the scenes of Grandpa, they had to do in one take. Because he just hated the time it took to put on this entire outfit. Which I can't blame them, because that is just a gross looking old man. I'm not going to lie. He was also in Next Generation as a cop at the hospital. Another uncredited role. And he was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D as Grandpa. Then we have John, I'm going to butcher his last name, I can tell you that much. John Lagardian, Larroguette. God, I need Bidwell right now, because he said it during our Full House podcast I was on. Which, by the way, guys, if y'all didn't know, I was on my buddy Bidwell and his friends' podcast, Sitcom on My Face. We talked about Full House. It wasn't like a retrospect or anything. We just talked about the show, our favorite episodes, what we liked, what we didn't like about the show, the nostalgic of it. It's a very fun episode. I'll leave a description of it down below. And also check out that podcast, Sitcom on My Face. Definitely a good one. You can listen to it on Spotify as well. You're welcome, Bidwell. Yeah, I gave you a little plug-in. John Lagardio, John, whatever the fuck his last name is, I can't pronounce because I am dyslexic as hell and stupid as fuck. He plays the narrator. He played the narrator in multiple movies, I want to say the reboot, the prequel, and a couple other ones. He was also in Twilight Zone, the movie, and a lot of people will definitely know him from the show he was on called Night Court. Fantastic actor, though. Like I said, a lot of these guys, very unwell-known people at the time, and unfortunately, a lot of them still kind of stayed a little unknown. Again, I can't find much on Alan, William, or Terry, who played some of the other victims. And that's exactly what I'm going to call them, victims. Because they walked their happy asses into this bullshit. I'm not going to lie. I remember this movie being, I thought these were smart people. No, they're very stupid. Like, I'm going to be honest. If you walk to a house, right? You walk into a house. You knock on the door and hello, is anyone there? And nobody answers. What would you do? See, if that was me, I would knock on the door. Nobody answers. Okay, guess nobody's home. Walk the fuck away. Go back to the van. Talk to Franklin. Not these motherfuckers. No, not these motherfuckers. No, they just walk into the house. like they own the place or something. Just walk in like, hey, how's it going? Hello, is anybody in here? Like, bro, and they all do this one at a time, except for Sally and Franklin, because Sally busts in and Franklin never makes it to the house, but everybody else just walks their happy asses in. I'm just like, you know what? I'm starting to feel for Bubba now. I'm starting to get Bubba, and that's the sad part. Rewatching this movie, and then, of course, my buddy Bidwell, he's always got to make fun of me, because in Dead by Daylight, I used to hate going up against Bubba's in the game because of the fact that I always thought his chainsaw was bullshit. That this motherfucker could literally start on one end, chainsaw all the way up these stairs, down the hallway, down another flight of stairs, still going, by the way, down me and then another person. I always thought that was bullshit that he had that capability. But Bidwell would make jokes with me and just be like, oh, leave Bubba alone. He's just a sweet, sweet, innocent boy. He's just a sweet boy. Bubba's a nice guy. You don't like him. I'm starting to believe that now. I truly am Bidwell. Bubba is a sweet, sweet boy because in this movie, Bubba does nothing wrong per se. Yes, he's a killer. Yes, he's a cannibal. That is wrong in his own degrees. But it's not like he's going out and looking for someone to kill. He ain't going out and actively tricking people to come into his house and kill them. No, these motherfuckers walked into his domain. Okay? They walked into his place. They get what they get, man. They get what they get. So no, I actually feel for Bubba. Like there's some moments in here where I'm just like, damn, Bubba, I feel you, man. I feel you. Why do you live with these motherfuckers? Like the cook, man. That cook is mean as shit to him for no reason. But speaking of the cook, so I'm going to do my best to explain the relative tree, the family tree here. I don't know why I said relative tree. No, it's called a family tree, Amanda. Family tree. The family tree here is in the original one, from what I've gathered, because there's mixed thoughts on this, especially with the fucking 3D movie, like, just basically throwing out a lot of the family tree that we know of. Alright, so, there is nobody called Slaughter. The Slaughter family and the Sawyer family, they're the same thing. The Slaughter family joke came from, I think the name of the gas station is like, we will slaughter or something. So it's something to do with slaughter. So a lot of people confuse their last name with Slaughter because it's on the gas station, but that's just a joke. A lot of people think it might be a joke because they're cannibals and they're slaughtering people. But they are called the Sawyer, and apparently Bubba, the cook, and the hitchhiker are all brothers. Not the cook's not their dad, they're all brothers. Now we know for a fact that in this movie the Bubba and the hitchhiker are brothers because the cook comes in and my favorite line in this whole movie, look what your brother did to my door. Like, I love that line. But we know, hitchhiker and Bubba are related. Now, I can't really confirm nor deny whether the cook is the dad or the brother because I've heard mixed confirmation on that. According to Wikipedia, he's the dad. According to the fucking storytelling, he's the brother. According to other stories, he's also the dad. He could be the dad brother. Because that's something else I would like to discuss here is I'm pretty sure it might be a bit of both. And what I mean by both, I mean the cook is his brother and his father. Because I get a lot of incest breeding from this family. Like, let's just break it down here. Look at Bubba's mental state throughout this, especially throughout this movie. He doesn't really talk, and the way Toby Hooper wanted Gunnar to portray him was to be a not very intelligent creature. That's why I had to do a couple of scenes over and over again because he felt too intelligent to be Bubba. So they had to tone it down. And if you look at Bubba, when he's smiling and his teeth are messed up, that's again, that could just be a Texan thing, bad dental hygiene and everything. But I also know that physical deformities also come in with inbreeding. So we also know that the brother has similar childlike wonders to him, just like Bubba. except he's a little bit more smart because he's able to make complete sentences, but he's also very stupid, you know? I mean, think about some of the stuff he does in this movie. Like, hell, he takes a picture of Franklin, asks for $2, and then when he doesn't get it, he just sets the picture on fire, giggling the entire time, balls it up, that gets thrown out of the vehicle, writes a symbol on the van, and then it's like having a tantrum like a child, you know, you know, I'm pretty sure if he could, he would have flipped them off if he wanted to. But the point is, he acts very childlike, and especially his mannerisms and the way he talks at some point. I like when Sally and him meet face to face at the house. You know, he's just like, "Oh, I thought you were in a hurry," and he starts poking her. Like it reminds me of just inbreeding. It truly does. So I have a theory that the cook might have had relationships with his sister. Because granted, we don't get to see any females in the house. There's only one female in the house, and she's dead. Like, she's dead. Like there ain't no questioning. Like, oh, she just got a good skin care routine going on for her. No, she dead. She's a skeleton. She's missing teeth. It's Grandma, by the way. Grandma is the only female in the house. So the question is, what happened to Bubba and the hitchhiker's mom? Where is the mom? If we could find out where the mom went, we could probably put two and two together. But that's my theory on the matter. I think the cook is both brother and father, because I think there's inbreeding going on in this family. And it wouldn't be all that surprisingly either, because, you know, there's been plenty of horror movies about inbreeding families. Let's look at another iconic one, The Hills Have Eyes. Like, that's the poster child for inbreeding family here. And you can't tell me a family that's down to slaughter and be cannibals, just like the family in The Hills Have Eyes, are not inbreeding. I also have a theory that I might know where the mother's at. She either died and they ate her, or they killed her and they ate her. I'm willing to bet, though, she probably ended up dying of some kind of natural causes, and she, you know, I don't know, because I want to say that they would preserve, it would make sense if they preserved her, since they preserved Grandma, but we don't see any kind of bodies of her, so I can't really think about that per se. But now that I'm actually thinking about it, what if Grandma was the mom? Think about that. She's the only woman we see in this whole movie that's in the Sawyer family. Do you think? Like, oh God, now I got so many questions going on in my head right now. Like, do you think, you know, the actual mom might have left, and or they ate her because she wanted to leave or something, so they ended up inbreeding with Grandma? Like this, oh my God, like the inbreeding thing just opens up so much bullshit when it comes to the Sawyer family. But I am still a firm believer, though, that inbreeding happened. Inbreeding, incest, shit was going down that family. They're clearly not in their right minds. But again, my theories, y'all got a different theory, please tell me in the comments down below. Maybe there's something I might have missed in the family tree history, you know, especially with the sequels that come out. And again, I'm not counting the 3D movie. Like, y'all can say, oh, it's canon. I don't count it, okay? It does not exist in my book, because it's just that stupid of a horror movie. And the fucking 3D gimmick. Everybody knew that was a stupid fucking gimmick. Everybody knew. Like, seriously, they just wanted an excuse to throw a chainsaw at the audience. That's all that 3D gimmick was. But let's go through some fun facts real quick. So, the narrator in the movie that we hear in the opening of the movie, John. So, apparently, I've been told that he got paid with a joint. Like, seriously. Which, I mean, I get it, because Toby was tight on money. The budget of this movie ranged, and this is kind of conflicting stuff that I've heard, because I've heard that they shot the movie for $60,000. up to $140,000. No matter what the budget was, he went over the budget. He went over the budget, and he was in a bit of a time constraint because of it. So there was a lot of things that just they had to cut corners on, like, again, not washing Bubba's outfit. Poor Marilyn, who plays Sally in this movie, her outfit was drenched in so much blood that by the end of filming, it hardened up. Like, because they I guess they couldn't wash her outfit either. You know, God forbid her shirt rips it any more than what it already is in the movie. But, yeah, like, there's just so much bullshit that it got to the point that they were filming for 7 days in a row for up to 12 to 16 hours a day. And the thing was, this was in Texas with 90 to 110 degree weather. I think at one day it reached 110, and you could tell this on the actor's face, especially like when they're filmed. Like you see it on Franklin when they're in the van, Pam in the house, like she's just dripping sweat. Everyone's just pouring sweat in this movie. And it ain't because they're fucking running either. A lot of them are just fucking hot. But yeah, it's just crazy that they were filming for that long because he literally needed to get this movie done because he couldn't afford to keep the camera equipment for as long as they have. Hell, it got to the point that they couldn't afford some fake blood because the tubing wasn't working. So there was real blood used in this movie. I mean, legitimately, like when Sally gets her finger cut and they give it to Grandpa to suck, they actually cut her finger. They legitimately cut her finger. Several of the actors actually got hurt. I mean, hell, the actor who played Kirk, he got traumatized. He got fucking traumatized because they brought in a real chainsaw. Not a fake chainsaw, a real chainsaw to this scene. Now, I don't know if they used a real chainsaw for the whole movie. I mean, it feels like a real chainsaw at some points. But I know for sure in this one scene, it was a real chainsaw because Gunnar looked at him and was just like, hey man, listen, I'm going to need you to stay completely still. Otherwise, you will die in this movie. And he cranked it up and literally put it to his face. Put it to his face. I would have pissed myself, to be honest. I would have pissed myself. Fucking the Pam, the actress who played Pam, when she got hooked on the hook, the only thing suspending her up was like this neon line wire, and apparently it was so uncomfortable and painful that she tried to put, some padding down there, some maxi pads and shit. Still didn't work, and she literally used that pain in the performance. So that uncomfortableness of her like, as she's reaching up, yeah, no, that's 100% real right there. They also used real, not human bones. They didn't go to that extent. They used real animal bones that they found just laying around the road at a veterinarian's place. They used real animal blood on the walls. So the house stunk. The house smelled. So combine the house smelling with the actor who's playing Bubba smelling with just the unbearable heat, it made for a very miserable time on set. Like I probably couldn't do that shit. Like I get hot just sitting at work and we're in the back of a kitchen. Like that shit's ridiculous. I can only imagine what it was like to be in the hot Texas heat too. Texas, because Texas, Louisiana, they got that dry heat. They got that humidity that's gonna kill you. You breathe that shit in wrong, you're dead. But according to Toby, everybody hated him by the end of the production, and it just took a couple of years for them to cool down because of how much hell he put them through. But I mean, it was worth it. It was worth it. It was a good story that they took from true life events, by the way, and before everyone's just like, it's based on a true story. It is, but it isn't. The true factor is Bubba. Bubba is basically based off of Ed Gein, who is a notorious American serial killer who was a cannibal as well. And he also inspired many other movies, such as Psycho and Silence of the Lamb. But the aspect they took from Ed here is the cannibalistic and the furniture pieces, because Ed liked to decorate for some fucked up reason. He liked to decorate with human skeletons and skins and remains and shit. You know, that was his decorating skills of choice. Don't ask me why. That was just like, yeah, my thing is, that shit would smell so badly, especially if you made a lamp. A lamp out of human skin? That just feels like it would smell bad. But that's the only true account. Everything else is fictionalized in this movie. You know, there was no guy running around with a chainsaw. There was no guy, being a hitchhiker. You know, there was no family killing a bunch of people and stuff like that. No, it's just based off of Ed Gein, who did rob graveyards, by the way. He stole graveyard parts, which we hear at the beginning of the movie during the radio broadcast about, as the credits are rolling, the intro and all that shit, we hear about, someone's dug up some bodies, and this one was left decorated like a nasty piece of artwork and all this shit. Yeah, Ed did that. He did the lampshade, human skin thing, bone furniture, all that stuff, but he didn't go to the extent the way the family did. He did eat people, though. He did like to eat people. That's the only, true event that happened. And also another little fun fact is the farmhouse, the Sawyer family farmhouse, is still standing. They actually relocated it somewhere else in Texas, and it's now a nice restaurant you can go eat at. And also, the gas station got a similar treatment. It didn't get moved or anything, but it's now a nice bed and breakfast place that you can eat at, basically. It's a nice little restaurant, which I like that. I really like that. But you stop. Sorry, y'all can hear my dog Aries in the background just trying to be quiet and cute at the same time. And it's not working because she's a black lab. There's nothing quiet or cute. Okay, let me phrase that. There's nothing quiet about her. She's very cute, but nothing quiet. Can you go lay down, please? Thank you. Thank you. When you have a house full of animals and they don't know what to do on a hardwood floor. But yeah, that's a lot of the good fun facts about this movie. Just the fact that this is a very miserable set to be on. People hated each other, a little ventilation, lots of remains, smelly house, hot ass weather. But overall, after all that sweat, pain, and bloodshed, more ways than one, it actually grossed over $30 million domestically, because unfortunately it didn't pan too well in the United Kingdom and Australia and all that, because it was banned. Apparently it was too intense for a lot of people, even with multiple cuts, that they just straight were like, nah, we're not playing this movie. I think some countries got it in the early 80s. One place didn't get it for 25 years. Because it was just so bad to these people. Again, guys, it's not that bad. Don't get me wrong, it still got its moment. Those sound effects are great. That crunching sound when you hear Bubba slam that hammer on somebody's skull, fantastic. Do we get to see any kind of blood just out of their head and brain matter on the hammer? No. But let's go ahead, hop straight on to this movie, because what's also interesting about this movie is there's a lot that goes on, but there's also not a lot that go on. Like I said, there's a lot of repeat dialogue, some scenes are just drawn out and everything. It's still a great movie. I do highly recommend this movie because it's just a fun movie, especially if you play the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game and you never seen any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Definitely check this one out. This is Bubba. This is classic Bubba. This is classic Bubba. We all love. This is sweet, sweet Bubba boy. That's all that is. Funny enough, though, in this movie, he's not called Bubba. He's actually just called Leatherface. Even Hitchhiker calls him Leatherface. He doesn't call him by any name. I think Bubba doesn't appear until Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I want to say it's either 2 or 3. That's when they start calling him Bubba. But most of the time they just call him Leatherface. I'm just going to call him Bubba for the sake of argument here because that's what I know him for. He will always be Bubba. You can say, oh, he's the cannibal. He's Leatherface. He may be a lot of things, but he's still Bubba. He's still Bubba to me. And he'll always be my Bubba. So we start with the opening, and I love this opening because it sets a tone for this film. It sets a really gritty ass tone for this film. You got the opening narrator saying, "The film which you are about to see is an account of a tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths," which, again, I gotta laugh at the word youths, only because if you've seen that movie, My Cousin Vinny, the way the judge questions him, oh god, what's the name of that actor who plays Vinny in the movie? he's like, "These 2 youths," I'm sorry, what'd you say? Youths. Are you saying youth? Yeah, youths. That's what happens when the South and the North end up arguing over the same word, but they're just pronounced completely different. Well, that's why I got laughed at the word use. But anyway, I digress. Sorry about that. But tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular Sally Hardensing and her invalid brother Franklin. And yes, they do call him that, by the way. It is all the more tragic in that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. The events of the day were to lead to oh shit, I can't read my own handwriting yet again. Damn it, man, that's what happens when I try to write very fast. The events of the day were to lead to the discoy. I have no idea what I try to write here, to be perfectly honest. I'm looking at this like, I got like DISC, DISCO something REY, maybe. I don't know. My handwriting fucking sucks. No wonder teachers hated me. Like, they couldn't read half my shit because I had such sloppy handwriting. But the point is, of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I love the narrator's voice, even though I just butchered that whole narration right there. You can go ahead and look it up. He's got a very dark, brooding voice, which really sets the tone for this movie. But right after that, we get the iconic picture-taking sound effects, which, if I remember correctly, is a violin bow being strung across some kind of tool, like a hacksaw or something. I can't remember what exactly they were running it across, but that's how they made that sound effect, though. And what we're seeing as the pictures are being taken is just a decayed body. Now, at first passing, you would think, no big deal, it's just a weird opening. If you think about it, though, the hitchhiker. This is the hitchhiker's introduction, per se, because he's the one with the camera moving around. He's been in the graveyards doing weird shit. It's him. This is what he's doing in his spare time, apparently. He's digging up bodies and taking pictures. Good for him, though. Good for him. He's got a hobby, and he's sticking to it. But as we get done with that, we get a little radio broadcast of them talking about, some bodies have been dug up from these graveyards. Hundreds of people are flocking in to make sure their loved ones have not been unburied. Some of these people are missing body parts. And the whole time they're having this radio narration going on, we see the skeleton, or the remains of the skeleton that he's done dug up, and he's done displayed it with another skull, or human I can't even say skull because they're not bones, they still got meat and flesh on them, but they're rotten and shit. It's disgusting, but I love it. But he basically got it displayed on another headstone. And as the narration is going on, they actually talk about how somebody did this crazy art piece right here, basically. Holy shit. Seriously, first of all, who's got the time to do this besides the hitchhiker? Okay, man, you dug up the body, which takes you several hours. I don't know why people think, grabbing a shovel and digging up a body should only take, an hour or so. No, do you know how far they bury bodies? It's a good 6 to 8 feet, depending on where you're at in the country. So that's a lot of digging, especially on a fucking summer night. In Texas, too. And then the fact that he was able to undig this body in the middle of the night, take a bunch of pictures, and then display the body, which means there was no security or anything just runging around, making sure no one's desecrating anything. But, it's the 70s, different time, different era. But after we get that little introduction, we get the title card, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the weird red filter over the title cards and the name of the actors and everything. We still got the radio broadcast going on, and that ends up fading into the iconic dead armadillo, which you see in Texas Chainsaw Massacre as you go to the farmhouse in the game. You see the iconic armadillo. Now, what's funny is that the armadillo is just flipped upside down in the game with, very little blood. But it's very, very confusing because of the fact that it doesn't look like it got squashed or hit or anything. It just looked like it just died. Like Jaws in the book. Just flipped over and died. But we get the little armadillo, though, and we see the van, pull up. And as it's pulling up, they gotta help Franklin out because Franklin's gotta take a piss. And poor Franklin, he's confined to a wheelchair, so of course it takes a group of people to get him out. He gets rolled down to the edge, and he whips his dick out, starts peeing in the cup. And then this, traffic's flowing as per usual. This truck speeding, even though it didn't look like it was speeding at first, but apparently it's speeding because when it sped on by, threw some dirt up at Kirk, who's standing there waiting for Franklin to get done. And poor Franklin, I guess, got blown by the gust of wind coming from the truck. He ends up falling down the hill. Pee bucket goes one way. He rolls out the fucking wheelchair. Man's dick's probably still hanging out, but we don't think about that as Kirk runs down there. Everybody else runs down there. Oh my God, are you all right? Speak to me. He fine. So we get back into the car, and we're driving off, and Pam's reading about horoscopes, and this is when you find out that Saturn's a bad influence because he's in retrospecs or retrograding or something like that. I don't know. I'm not into horoscopes like that and all that. Don't get me wrong, they're cool, and I get where they're coming from. Reading the stars, tells you how your day's going to be. But you are the creator of your own good day. That is a true factor. You are the creator of your own good day. So you're having a bad day. You wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you step in dog shit. You can make that to be the start of a good day or a bad day. Depends on how you view it. I say take that as a good day. You're lucky it's dog shit, not something else. What could be worse than dog shit? I don't know. But again, it could be worse. But she's reading about this. They end up eventually making it to the graveyard. And that's when Sally steps out. And she's like, hey, my grandfather's here. We just need to check on him. They take him, take Sally off. Franklin's standing in the vehicle. And there's this old drunk guy standing, not even standing there. He's so drunk, he's about to pass out in the middle of this grass. And no one's doing anything about him, by the way. But he's rambling on in front of Franklin. He's just like, I've seen some things. People just say I'm an old crazy drunk. Don't listen to the old crazy drunk now. But I've seen some things. And then passes out. He's literally like the Harbinger of Doom over here. We don't know what he's seen, but he's seen some things. Don't ask me why he's there either. I guess, to be the Harbinger of Doom, let us as the audience know this is the doom that's going to... shit's about to hit the fan, basically. I don't know exactly what I was going at with that, but basically shit's about to hit the fan. But I also, I don't necessarily dislike this scene in particular, but I get why this scene is necessary. Again, we know that they're here to check on their grandfather because Sally stated this. We know from the radio interview somebody's doing this, so they decide to, drive on down. So it should be a typical normal Sunday afternoon. I'm going to be honest, it's not until the hitchhiker shows up that it feels like a horror movie, At this point, it feels like a normal, just, we're all buddies driving around, doing our own thing kind of day. But it's not until the hitchhiker shows up, and hell, it's not even until Bubba shows up, which is not until about 35 minutes to the movie, that it becomes a slasher. Granted, the hitchhiker does some, crazy-ass shit, but he just is just weird. That's it. He's just fucking weird. He does weird shit. I've seen crazier shit though. I'm not gonna lie. But after they end up, looking around, they've realized Granddaddy's okay, the body's fine, everything's good and dandy. They're driving back to wherever the hell they're going. Because here's something else I had never quite understood. Are they coming from out of state to look at this? Are they just like a couple of counties over? Like, I don't know, because, again, according to the narrator, a idyllic summer afternoon drive. But if you look at like, the Wikipedia and all that, they say they're on a road trip or something like that. Especially the fact that they gotta get gas, and they don't seem like they know where they're at. So I don't know how often they come here. Clearly, it's not that much. I don't know if they're from Texas, if they're around Texas, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. But after they visit the graveyard, though. She's like, Franklin's okay. They say Granddaddy's fine. He didn't look disturbed or anything. People would know this. And as they're driving on, and this is another thing that adds on to, I feel like they haven't been to Texas, at least this part of Texas, in a good minute, because when they go by the slaughterhouse, and they smell the horribleness coming from the slaughterhouse, because slaughterhouse do not smell good. I'm assuming that it's because of all the dead cows and the blood, but slaughterhouses do not smell good, and they make it well known in the movie it stinks, and they're like, oh, roll up the windows, oh, Jesus Christ, doing that bullshit. And Franklin makes a mention, hey, that's where Granddaddy used to work at, he used to bring his cattle over there. That lets you know, yeah, they have family roots here, and also, later on in the movie, when they go visit the house, they're like, this is Granddaddy's house and everything. You don't know, though, if, they're from Texas or not. Granted, I don't think it really matters if they're from Texas, but it's just one of those things I think about on a daily basis when I watch this movie, because of the fact that it's kind of conflicting information, what the narrator says in the description of the movie and what Wikipedia says. It's like, who's the right here? Who is in the right? But I'll quit harping on that. But, like I said, they go by, and he's like, oh, that's where Granddaddy works at. Oh, yeah, that's where they killed the cattle. They, back in the day, they used to have a hammer, right? And they used to, bash them, take about one, 2 more times. Oh, God, it was bloody. It was awful. Franklin, quit talking about it. I know, I'm sorry. But, man, now they got this bolt gun, though, that, it's really humane now. All you got to do is just put it up to their head and, pa-chow, pa-chow, pa-chow. Like, Franklin really gets into the details about this. I'm not even gonna lie. And he makes everyone very, very uncomfortable. And you can see that everyone's just like, will you stop talking about it? I like meat, Franklin. Stop talking about it. And, of course, Franklin reads the room and just goes, oh man, it's so hot in here. Oh, like, shut up, you whining little bitch. Everybody else seems hot, too, but you're the only one whining about it. But as they're driving a little bit more, they see the hitchhiker, and they're like, oh my God, we should totally pick him up. He looks asphyxiate out there. Yeah, oh my God, he looks creepy. Oh, he's going to kill us for sure. Yeah, don't let him in. He's going to smell up like that slaughterhouse. Oh, that's okay. He can sit next to Franklin. Like, poor Franklin. That's the one time I felt bad for Franklin, because they're just like, yeah, we can just put him next to Franklin. Like, I wouldn't want that motherfucker near me. Especially after he gets in that vehicle, he's got like a thing of blood from like his ear going down his neck, and he's just Yeah, he's being very erratic in some cases. Like, his movement isn't erratic, but he literally just sits there and giggles, and he's waiting for like somebody to say something like, "Hey man, why are you giggling?" or something. But no, he just keeps on that facade. But when they get him inside, they start, Franklin unfortunately starts on him by saying, I think we just picked up Dracula. Why do you say that, Franklin? Why? Why? Because he's skinny? Because he's got blood on him? Like, why that insult? And, of course, they make small talk. They're like, well, are you from that slaughterhouse? Oh, no. I mean, my family works up there, works at that slaughterhouse. Oh, great. a whole family of Draculas. Like, shut up, Franklin. Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you. But, turns out he's walking from the slaughterhouse. And then, they're like, hey, where you going? Oh, just right up the road. My house ain't that far. And then Franklin proceeds to ask him, hey, have you ever been to that room in the slaughterhouse, where they kill the cows? My grandfather took me there one time, but it's been a minute, and he brings up the bolt gun, and the hitchhiker just goes, oh, bolt gun, no good, the old way better. And he literally speaks like that. Again, this adds on to why I think there's inbreeding going on in this family. But he's just like, yeah, old way's better, It takes jobs away from other people who are really good at this. The old way was better. And then he proceeds to continue on about not wasting the meat of the cow, basically. He goes, oh, yeah, they use everything. That they take the jaws off, the eyes, the tongues. They just take everything on the cow. They boil the skull. And it's just like, bro, you're really into this cow shit, aren't you? Like, straight up, you're really into this cow shit. And then he proceeds to pull out his little purse, by the way. And I really like his man purse. I'm not going to lie. It's apparently, I don't know if it's real. I'm assuming it is, being the 74. And Toby had a very strict budget. But it looks like a real fur purse. But he pulls it up, though, and he unzips it, pulls out some photos. And he took pictures of just hanging cows, the dead cows. And, of course, he's showing it around. And Franklin's like, oh, my God. Oh, that is cool. Oh, my God, look at this. Like, holy shit. Everybody else is just, that's great. Franklin's all into this shit, right? Like, he's just all into this. And, it's just... it's just weird. It's just really weird. But again, it makes sense coming from this family because they're fucking crazy. Pam wants him to stop talking about it, though. So, they quiet down for a minute. And Franklin, he's playing with his little pocket knife. And while he's playing with that, the hitchhiker just looks at him and just, and just reaches for it, grabs it out of his hand. Franklin's just sitting there dumbfounded. He can't even stand even if he wanted to. Ooh. He's sitting there dumbfounded, though. Like, this motherfucker took my knife. And, of course, he's looking at the knife and he's giggling his ass off like, ha, 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 ha. And you're like, bro, you all right? You cool? And everybody else is looking at him just like, hey, be careful with that knife, man. Like, well, why don't you give it back? Ha, 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 ha. And then he proceeds to cut his hand. And everyone actually acts pretty fucking calm about this. I'm not gonna lie. If I was in a vehicle with a person who just yeeted my knife and then cut themselves with it, I would not be this calm. But they're just like, oh my God, oh God, oh no. Me, no, not me. Me would just be like, oh, fuck no, get the hell out of my car, bro. Like, this is not natural. Get the hell out with that bullshit. I'd be kicking them out now. But no, they let him stay in the vehicle. And eventually, after he gets done cutting his hand, the blood's dripping down his arm, he gives Franklin back the knife. Franklin just looks at it like, the fuck did you just really cut and then hand it? Okay. That's literally his look, just confusion. He's very confused. And then, he's looking around at everybody else. The hitchhiker's just looking around, just still giggling, by the way. Still, ha, 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 ha. Still looking around. And everyone's just uncomfortable, but nobody's saying anything. So he sticks his hand into his sock, pulls out another knife, which I think is like a straight razor. He pulls it out. He's like, I got a knife too. Look, you want to see? It's just like, no, bro. Calm the fuck down. Calm down. And so after showing off his knife, he closes it. He puts it back up. And it's still, he just continuously laughs this entire time. He then grabs his camera, starts fucking with it, looks at Franklin, takes a picture. And again, I would like to emphasize yet again, he is still laughing. Like, I cannot say that enough because of the fact that this man clearly is on something. Like, that would be my first thought. Like, yeah, he's crazy for sure. But he's gotta be on, like, meth, crack cocaine, or some bullshit, because the man will not stop laughing. So he takes the picture, he undoes it, looks at it, and gives it to Franklin. And he's just like, you can take me to my house. It's real close. You can have dinner with us, and my brother makes a good mean head cheese over here. And everyone's just like, nah, man, we in a hurry. We have to push off. We'll drop you off. It's real close. Why don't you walk? And he's just slowly stops laughing. And like I said, he gave Franklin the picture, so Franklin's looking at the picture, and he's just like, yeah, man, this is no good. This is blown out. This ain't good. No, it's a good picture. It's a good picture. You give me $2 for that picture. He took a note out of someone working on the Hollywood Boulevard or on in New York at Times Square. Just takes a bad photo, puts it in your hand. All right, you pay me $2 now. $2. Give me $2. Like, bro, that's not how businesses work here. You don't just do that shit. That's illegal. Okay, it may not be illegal, but it feels illegal. But, of course, they're just like, no, we don't want the picture. Frankly, give him back the picture. And he's just like, here you go. So, at this point, the hitchhiker just looks around. Goes, okay, you don't want the picture. You don't want to pay me $2. Y'all don't want to join me for dinner or anything? That's all right. So he pulls out his little man purse again, unzips it, pulls out a thing of aluminum foil, unwraps the aluminum foil, puts it down, takes the picture, puts the picture on it, grabs something else. He starts giggling a little bit, like, and he starts sprinkling it on. I think it's gunpowder or something. I'm not quite sure. It's flammable, though. But he sprinkles it around and then pulls out a match, sets that bitch on fire. Everyone proceeds to freak out. Oh my God, get him out of the vehicle. Get him out. Get him, pull over. Pull the hell over. Get him the hell out. And the dude starts laughing again. So he's like, putting the picture in the aluminum foil, wrapping it up and putting it back in his little man purse. And they push him out the vehicle. And as they're pushing him out the vehicle, he's just throwing a tantrum, just, ooh, fuck you. And he's like hitting the side of the vehicle, and that's when he proceeds to smear a symbol on the side of the van and all this shit. And I'm gonna be honest. Jerry, you motherfucker. First of all, you're terrible at just speeding off, okay? I don't know if it's the vehicle or if it's him, but he's terrible at speeding off. Because as soon, I wouldn't have slowed down for this motherfucker. I would have opened the door and kicked his ass out of my van going about 90, okay? Like if I want you out of my vehicle, I'll get you out of my vehicle. But this man slows the fuck down, and it takes a minute to speed up. Again, giving the hitchhiker enough time to at least kick the vehicle a couple of times and draw a symbol on the van. Man does not know how to take the hell off. Just saying. So, they, of course, once they get done, they're like, oh my God, Franklin, are you okay? Because during the kerfuffle of giving him out of the vehicle, he grabs Franklin by the arm and then cuts him with the straight razor. We don't know why. He just does it. Just grabs Franklin, and then they throw him out the vehicle. Like, bro, are you alright? Like, what is going through your head, hitchhiker? What is going on in that small-ass brain of yours? Like, straight up. Man's got some issues, some serious issues he needs to work out personally. But as they're driving off, you hear Jerry just say, that's the last goddamn hitchhiker I ever pick up. Like, I'm with him. Because everybody else is kind of giving that sigh of relief. Like, you see Pam just leaning up against the vehicle, like, oh my God. Oh. And poor Kirk's just like, oh God, yeah. Should we call the police or something? Nah, bro, he's a hitchhiker. Leave him alone. So as they keep driving, Pam decides this would be an excellent time to read more horoscopes. So she reads Franklin's horoscope, and it basically sums up to, from what I'm translating, because she goes on this whole spiel about be kind to people. The world's not being kind back to you. You know, the events of the world. Something, you know, typical horoscope bullshit where they try to be fancy about it. But to sum it up, it's stop upsetting people around you. The events of the world is not cheering one up. Stop being a jackass. That's basically to sum it up. Stop being a jackass. And then Jerry's just like, all right, now read Sally's. So she flips over to Sally and is like, oh, this ain't good. But Sally's under Saturn. Oh. Pinch yourself, for what could be happening may not be true, but it is. And to sum up her horoscope is, bad things are about to happen to you. It's not a dream. This is all very real. You're pretty much fucking, so is everybody else. That's what I'm reading from between the lines there. So after they end up reading that, and they're just like, oh my god, seriously? They pull up to the gas station, and the girls step out. They gotta go to the bathroom. They want to get a Coke. And the cook walks up. Now, what I love about this scene is that there's a guy sitting out here, and he's the car washer dude. That's literally what he's credited as, car washer guy. And what's funny about this is the cook walks, like, the dude doesn't move, right? Till the cook walks up. As soon as the cook starts talking to him, the car washer guy sets up and starts washing the windshield and washing, you know, the hood of the vehicle. As soon as the cook gets done, he throws the rag back in the bucket and goes back. And then the cook changes his mind, turns around, says something else to them, and then the guy grabs his rag again, goes back to washing the vehicle until the cook is done. Like, the guy cannot make up his mind whether or not he needed to wash the vehicle or not. Granted, though, he sucks because he completely missed the blood spill in the back. Like, straight up, he missed the whole bloody symbol. Wash the hood, though. He washed that hood. But, you know, as they, you know, the girls get out and the cook walks out, he's just like, hey, man, can you fill her up? I ain't got no gas. Truck... I'm completely empty. The truck won't be here till probably late this afternoon. Hell, it could be tomorrow morning. Well, damn. Well, do you know where the old, the Franklin place is at? The Franklin's place? Yeah, it's a 2-story, brick house on the hill. Now, why would you, want to go there now? You boys, don't want to go messing around in an old place like that. It's dangerous. You know, you can get hurt. Oh, we'll be careful, sir. Now, you don't want to go fooling around other folks' property. Some folks don't like it, and they don't mind showing it, which is true. Again, with Bubba, I literally love that phrase because all I can think of is Bubba and what he does to these kids later on in this movie, because they were trespassing on his property. I cannot get mad at Bubba. I am not mad at Bubba. I support Bubba 100%. I'm with Bubba. Hashtag justice for Bubba. Bubba needs some love. But they explain, oh no, my dad owns the place, you know, it's cool. Oh, your dad owns that place? Well, all right, but, you know, and then he goes to walk away and he sees the girls, so he turns back and he's just like, now, you boys don't want to go up there and bring those girls with you. The girls don't want to see no decrepit house or anything. Why don't y'all stay here? I'm sure the truck will be by any minute now to get gas. I got some barbecue. It's all going to be good. And then he walks the fuck away. You see the girl, you know, trying to get the Coke out of the Coke machine. That's when the boys all look at each other in the van. They go, no, maybe we should have asked him if there was another gas station around here. Yeah, but if he did, you know, he would have said something. Well, it doesn't hurt to go ask, so let's go ask. So, you know, he gets out of the vehicle. Jared gets out. He sees the girl, and he's just like, do you think this place got room service? Goes in. And then we go back to Franklin and Kirk in the vehicle. And Franklin, for some fucked up reason, has the knife. And he's just poking the side of the van. Like, I don't know why. He's just... And even Kirk's like, hey, bro, you messing up the van here. And Franklin's just like, oh, I'm sorry. I just started doing this. You started doing destruction of property for no fucking reason, Franklin. But, of course, Franklin's got to bring the conversation back to himself. So he's just like, hey, do you see blood? Do you think that's some of his blood on my knife? Do you think? I don't know, Franklin. I don't know. Do you think it was something I said to make him mad? Like, was it something I said? Was it something I did? Franklin, come on, man. Like, bro, it's not all about you, man. The man was clearly insane when he got into the vehicle. There was nothing you did or said. He just chose you to fuck with. That's a simple statement right there. The hitchhiker chose Franklin to fuck with. It was nothing he said or did. He was just a poor, unfortunate soul in that situation. So, eventually Jerry comes out and he's just like, yeah, there's no other gas station, but, I got some barbecue. And then the girls, come in, they sit down, and Sally takes a minute before she gets to the van. She sees the symbol, and she's like, oh my God, guys, I think that guy wrote something on here. Like, what do you mean he wrote something? Come on, Sally, we're going to the granddaddy's house. And, of course, they get in the vehicle, they drive off towards their old granddaddy's place. And while they're driving up there, Sally asks for Franklin's knife so she can open her coat. And I think it's either Jerry or Kirk makes the comment, Franklin, if you're wrong about this place and we run out of gas, I'm going to make you tow the vehicle back with your wheelchair. And then everybody laughs, of course at Franklin's expense. And then Franklin, of course, is looking, just looking around. And once again, got to bring the conversation back to himself. Just, you think that guy was just trying to scare us, by blowing up my picture? And then zones out into the camera. Like, he literally looks at the camera and just on to the next scene, basically. Again, all about Franklin, all about him. So they get to the old farmhouse, or not the farmhouse, but the grandparents' house. And, of course, Sally makes a comment, I can't believe they let it run down this bad. All right, to help Franklin out of the vehicle. Of course, Franklin's like, watch my arm, watch my arm. And then once they get everybody out, they go to the side of the vehicle with the symbols at, and they're just like, what do you think this is? Jerry, without missing a beat, just like, it's the Mask of Zorro. Like, bro, this is not there's blood on the side of the van here. You're making jokes. Okay, good for you, Jerry. Good for you. But, Jerry doesn't really give a shit about it. And Sally's like, why don't y'all wipe it off? And Kirk, is about to start, wiping away. And Frank's like, wait a minute. Let me look, man. Let me look. And he's eating part of the sausage. Which, by the way, I would like to add, before they did that weird cut, to them driving up to the old abandoned house, Franklin's eating the sausage, and it's like, it doesn't taste right to him. I don't know if it was just the actor's choice, or he was trying to portray the fact that it tastes like human people, but he's eating it, and he's just like, like he's curious about the taste of it, like he's not sure how to feel about it. And you'll notice in this scene, when everybody walks off and he's looking at it, he takes the piece of sausage out of his mouth and he's like he's trying to spit the flavor out, like he don't care for it. So maybe Franklin knows that the cook uses human people to make those delicious ass barbecue. Granted, though, I don't think that would taste very good. Especially the fact that they use rotten meat or old dead people, Like, I feel like fresher meat would probably be a better taste, to be honest. But I feel like there would be a lot of health code, not just health code violations, but a lot of health issues going on if people were eating rotten meat, even if it was cooked. Like, hell, have you not learned anything from Don't Starve or Minecraft? Just saying. So, after that, and he spits that, we go into the house, and everybody's looking around, and she's just like, oh, this used to be my room, this is all great and everything. Oh, I forgot to make a mention before Kirk walked into the house, Franklin made a comment yet again saying, hey, do you think that guy would follow us? Do you think he could follow us? No, why would he do that, Franklin? Why? And he walks off. Again, Franklin just being weird. But like I said, they're in the house, and Sally's just like, yeah, this used to be my room. I slept in here once when I was, 8 years old. I love the zebras. I had a thing for the zebras. And also, while she's doing that, Kirk's walking around the house, and we get like these weird shots of literally like him just looking around the house. Like they don't really add anything to this movie. I'm gonna be honest. This particular section of the movie really doesn't add anything to the movie except another destination for them to go to get closer to the farmhouse. But yeah, we just see them walk around, talk about the fucking wallpaper. Kirk sees a gaggle of spiders just in a corner, and they're all like daddy long legs. And there's like a weird like zoom in cut with a sound effect and everything. And he's like, oh, like, bro, there's just spiders. Chill the fuck out. We're in an abandoned house. What are you expecting? It to be clean and pristine? Like, seriously, what kind of haunted house do you think this is? But we didn't see Franklin trying to roll his happy ass into this room. And he's like, Sally! Sally, I need Sally! And of course he could hear Sally and Pam, just giggling, laughing. Kirk's laughing. Jerry's laughing. He's having a miserable time, though. And eventually he struggles himself up through the house. Has to pull himself like through the doorway because there's like a slant going on. So he's struggling. He spits out the sausage piece. He goes all the way to the entrance of the house, and he just starts throwing a tantrum like the hitchhiker all over again. He's just like like mocking their laughs, just straight up mocking them. Oh, you should come, Franklin. It'll be fun. Like, he's doing that stupid shit. Again, like the hitchhiker. I'm starting to think, maybe Franklin might be a little bit of an inbred right there. Nah, man, that's not true. He's just having a bad day. He even says it. He's just like, if I have any more fun today, I don't think I could take it anymore. And then, of course, he spits again. He goes to roll off, and then hurts himself. He hurts his fucking self trying to roll into the next room. And he's just mad as shit. And then Pam and Kurt walk down, and they're like, hey, Franklin, you said there was a swimming hole here. Where's this creek at so we can go swimming? Oh, there's a trail between two sheds back there. You can just take it down from there. Okay, thanks. Hey, is Sally and Jerry going? Nah. We'll be back in an hour. Yeah, an hour. And, Kirk and Pam run off, and Franklin turns around. He sees a pile of bones and feathers just laying on his porch with a bone hanging from the doorway right above him, and he's just like, Sally! I don't know why this particular scene's in the movie, to be honest. Again, this whole section of the movie just seems kind of pointless to me. And you really could cut it out. Granted, though, it would not be a long movie, because this movie is only an hour and a half long. And at this point, I think we're only like, 20, 25 minutes to the movie at this point. But after that, we see Kirk and Pam. They're giggling. They're giggling and running to the creek. And he's just like, oh my God, there's snakes and there's scorpions and there's spiders. She's like, oh, Kirk, stop it. Oh, you're so funny. And they run down to this, what's left of the creek anyway. They run down to this ditch, though, that's supposed to be the creek. And they sit down, realizing where they're at. And they're just like, oh, of course Franklin would be wrong. When was the last time he was even here? How did he even get up here? I don't know. Maybe someone carried him here when he was little? Franklin has never been little. So they start, just like chillaxing a little bit around what's left of this creek that dried up. Which, by the way, they haven't been there since they were kids. That's a bad global environment thing right there. That creek dried up that bad. And the last time Sally said she was 8 there, around 8 years old last time she was at the house. She's got to be in her 20s now. That's like at least over 10 years. So if a creek dried up after 10 years, global warming is a truly terrible thing. But eventually they hear the sound of a generator as they're walking, and they see the farmhouse, and they're like, "Oh, Pam, look! Wait a minute, generator. That means gas. They could be gas." And Pam is the smart one of the two, and she's just like, "Kirk, why don't we just turn around?" And Kirk's like, "No, no, no. I can trade him a guitar. I can give him money. We got to come back through here anyway, so, I can always just leave him a couple of bucks, get some gas, come back, give him some gas, and leave some more bucks. Kirk, they don't want your guitar. They're not going to sell us any gas. Let's just go home, please. Let's just go back. Let's just go back with the others." "No, no, no. It's fine. It's fine." And of course, they walk by some iconic shots, which again, if you played the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, you will recognize some of these places. Of course, you have the sunflower field, which is in the back of the house that we all see. We see the car graveyard, which is next to the sunflower fields. And then we see the iconic red generator, which we see in the game as well. And as they're walking around, they get to the exterior of the house, which is the side of the house, going to the front. Which, again, I have to give credit to the people who did the design for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game. Because y'all really, really cared for the details here. Like, it literally looks like y'all took the house from the movie and just put it in the game, like straight up, just copied the layout and just put it in the game, maybe added a couple of things here and there. But the house literally is the exact same in the game, like to a T, room by room and everything. But they eventually walk up to the house, though, and of course Kirk knocks on the door, and Pam's just like, "Why don't we just leave? Like, nobody's here, just leave them alone." Kirk just being the man, because, men don't listen to women. Alright, so how does Bidwell put it? "I'm sorry, I don't listen to women." I can't remember exactly how he does it, but it's fucking hilarious. I'll be talking to him, and I'm like, "Bidwell, did you hear anything I said?" "Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't listen to women." I'm like, "You fucking asshole." But Kirk, after knocking, he sees a tooth on the ground. So he picks it up and he walks over to Pam and he's just like, "Hey Pam, I got something for you." And it puts it in her hand and she's like, "Oh, gross. Oh my God. Let's just go already, please." She goes to the swing set and sits down, and Kirk's just still, "No, I still want to try this house." So he opens the door, right? He opens the door, leans in. "Hello, is anybody there?" And then proceeds to walk in. I blame him for upsetting Bubba, okay? Like, I'm not even mad at Bubba for killing this motherfucker, because this dude just walked into his house uninvited, just helping himself, all because he heard a pig noise. Yeah, that's the noise that draws him in. As soon as he opens the door, he hears a pig squealing. It's Bubba, because Bubba makes weird noises throughout this movie. He doesn't actually have any words or dialogue here. He just literally makes noises. But Kurt walks in, and he's like, "Hello? Is anyone here? Hello?" And then goes to walk up the steps to the iconic room that, again, we see in the game. The red wall with all the heads, the antler skulls and all that shit. And as he's walking up there, he trips a little bit, so he's got to catch himself on the doorway. But as soon as he does that, we get this beautiful shot of Bubba just coming around the corner, just like sidestepping it. And he makes the pig noise as he's got the hammer above his head. And we just hear this audible crunch as he slams it down on Kirk's head. And Kirk falls to the floor and starts spazzing out, like his legs twitching out, his body's trembling. We see a little bit of blood from his head on his shoulders and on his shirt and everything. And then Bubba, of course, grabs him again, does another, as just to make sure he was dead, two-tap that shit. Fucking hits him with it. The body stops flailing around. Bubba grabs him, yeets him into the hallway, and then slams the door shut, right? Then we get another iconic scene where we know what the cameraman was doing, and he is proud of what he was doing here. But Pam's sitting down, she's just like, "Kirk, come on. Kirk gets up, starts walking to the house. The cameraman has got this, I'm going to be honest, I love this cheesy ass shot. But we all can agree this cameraman knew exactly what he was doing. We got this angle where we're looking up at the house from a below angle, and we're following Pam from the ass up as she's walking to the house as we get closer and closer to this house. It's a nice shot, it's an iconic shot, but we all know that cameraman knew exactly what he was doing that day. He didn't need, he understood the assignment. I'm just gonna put it that way. He understood the assignment. But she walks up there, and of course she opens the door. Kirk? Hello? Kirk? Again, if this was me, I would have just, alright, Kirk, you ain't coming out. I ain't going in. I'm going back, and I'm going to go tell the others we need to call the police. Because this man just walked in the house and just disappeared. No, not this bitch. Not this stupid bitch. No, she walks in, right? She goes in. Kirk looks up the stairs, look at the closed sliding door, and then turns to the living room and proceeds to walk into it. And as soon as she does, she trips on her way in over a vase and lands face first into a pile of bones and feathers. And then we get this extended, long-ass, uncomfortable moment, like hyped up music and all, of her just looking around, pouring sweat, by the way, just pouring sweat, as she's looking around at the bones, at the human skeleton light, at the chicken, which is, by the way, they call him Nugget. His name is Nugget, and he is also very infamous in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. We see him everywhere. Which, by the way, guys, I'm going to tell you this little information, a little side note for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know how true this is, but this is what I've been told. You can kill the chicken in the game. You just need a bone scrap and you can kill the chicken. That should save you some issues back there. Just a little heads up in case you played the game. If you haven't played the game, I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a fun game all the way around, whether you play victim or killer. Or technically family. It's a fun fucking game. But I digress. But she's looking around, and of course, you know, it's a prolonged shot, by the way, a very prolonged shot of her just, you know, she's taking all this shit in, and she starts screaming, you know, Kurt, oh my God, Kurt, and she gets up, and as soon as she gets to the hallway, fucking Bubba yeets open the door and sees her. She screams, goes to run out the door. Bubba comes up behind her, of course, grabs her. She flails so hard that her shoes come off, and he drags her back into the house. And unfortunately, I've been told that Gunnar Hansen here hit himself upside the head a few times during this scene because of the fact that it was so hard to see in the Bubba mask. Like, poor Gunnar, man. He was getting abused left and right in that fucking outfit. But he takes Pam through the red hallway to the kitchen area where all the hooks are at, and she's fighting aggressively. She's doing her damnedest to get away from him, but not her best though. And he ends up grabbing her and just dropping her ass on a hook. And even though we don't see it, you feel it. You feel that hook going into your back because her look says it all. And she's like, oh. And she's like reaching back, like she's trying to pull herself off of it, like this is fucking Dead by Daylight or something. And then Bubba's sitting there and grabs the chainsaw and starts dismembering, which we don't see, by the way, but we know what's going on in this scene, Kurt right in front of Pam, and she's just screaming, just bloody murder. I love that scene. From the moment Kirk walks into the house till Pam again pulling that hook, it is one of my favorite scenes in this movie because it's just so iconic. It's just so iconic. I see tidbits of that and I'm like, yes, that's from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's where this is from. Like, I don't need a second guess. I don't need to scratch my head and go, well, I'm not sure which one this is. No, I know this is from the iconic first movie. So, after that, we then cut back to Sally, Franklin, and Jerry all waiting by the van. And, of course, you know, Franklin's just like, do you think the hitchhiker's following us? Oh, yeah, Franklin. The hitchhiker's definitely going to follow us. Well, how would he follow us? Oh, I gave him our address, man. I gave him your phone number and your zip code. Like, Jerry's just fucking with him at this point. Because again, Franklin's asking stupid fucking questions. Like, straight up. But eventually it becomes to an argument of asking Sally, well, where's my knife at? Where's my knife? I'm looking for my knife. I gave it to you. And she's just like, I don't know where it's at, Franklin. I thought I gave it back to you. Well, help me look for it. Fine, I'll look for it. And she gets to the van, and Jerry's just like, hey, they're not back yet. I'm going to go down to the creek and see what's going on before the sun goes down. Can I come with you? No, Sally. You stay here. And she seems so butthurt about that. She's like, because again, I wouldn't want to be stuck with Franklin. I would not. Even if he was my brother, I would not want to be stuck with Franklin. But after Jerry leaves, of course, she can't find the knife. She starts pouting a little bit. And Franklin rolls up to her and he's just like, Sally, are you mad at me? No, Franklin. You didn't want me to come on this trip, did you? No, Franklin, I'm just tired. Then we go with Jerry. Now, Jerry, of course, goes to the creek, doesn't see anything, so he follows the sound of the generator and goes to the house. So as he walks into the house, of course, he's like, Kurt, Pam, are you in there? Starts knocking on the door. Kurt? Looks around a little bit, notices that Pam's towel that she brought up is still on the railing of the house, so he takes that as his invitation to walk the fuck in. So he walks the fuck in, opens the door. Hey, guys, quit playing with me, guys. Like, quit messing around. Like, come on. Come on. It's getting late. I'm tired. Y'all gotta stop messing around. Like, bro, do you really think your friends are fucking with you? Do you honestly think your friends are you're walking into a stranger's house thinking your friends are fucking with you? What 1974 logic is this? That first of all, you're going to walk into a house that you have no clue who it belongs to. You don't know the owners. You've never seen this house a day in your life. And yet you're going to walk your happy ass in because you think your friends are fucking with you. Seriously, what 1974 logic is this? But as he's looking around, of course, he starts hearing some weird noises. So he proceeds to go into the back of the house, into the kitchen, where Pam was being hung up at. He's looking around, he sees the tools and the blood, and then he hears frantic, tapping coming from this freezer behind him. So, of course, he runs over there and he opens it, and we see Pam's kind of body, because she's not technically dead yet. I guess she's in shock and being frozen to death. I don't know what Bubba's plan here was, but she's there, and her eyes sprite right open. Her eyes basically just jolt open. She jolts up, flailing, what the fuck, man? Flailing, there we go. Flailing her arms all over the place. And Jerry, I gotta give this man credit here. He's got one of the best girly screams I've heard since Friday the 13th. But again, how would you react if you saw the body of your dead friend pop out of a freezer and then you turn around to a guy with a hammer about to come down on your skull? I would scream too. I would scream like a little bitch. I would have the intensity of the strongest female scream I could have mustered out of my soul if I had the opportunity to scream before I died. I'm with Jerry, though. But Jerry screams. He gets hit upside the head with a hammer. He goes down. One fucking good fell swoop. And then Bubba, of course, he starts looking around is anybody else in my house? What's going on here, man? And so he starts looking out the window, and his heart is going a million miles an hour, and he's like, and he sits down. And it's a really nice shot because at first when you're looking at it, you think Bubba might feel some kind of remorse for killing. Because, he sits down, he puts his hand over his head, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I had to kill again. But then he looks up at the camera, and he starts smiling. and licking his lips like he's thinking about the delicious meal he's about to eat today. He's like, oh yeah, haha. And then we fade to a nice night shot. Sally's in the vehicle. She's honking the horn, screaming for Jerry. Fuck Kirk and Pam. She's looking for Jerry. And Franklin's just like, Sally, we just need, to go to that gas station. I'm not leaving without Jerry. All right, Sally, I think we need to be smart about this. Just go to the gas station. Franklin, give me the flashlight. Oh, why do you need the flashlight? Just give me the flashlight. And they start arguing over the flashlight and arguing over where they got to go, what's going on. And eventually they come to terms that Sally's going to go into the woods whether Franklin wants her to or not. So Franklin's just like, Sally, let me go with you. Just let me go with you. Because he's panicking at this moment because when he went to go honk the horn, he realized there's no keys in the vehicle. So even if they wanted to leave, they can't. So he goes with Sally, and of course we get another iconic moment of them being Sally pushing Franklin through these fucking woods as he's holding the flashlight. And then, of course, they hear the generator, so they go to investigate it, and they're screaming Jerry's name. Now, I will say this particular. Oh, hang on a second, I done dropped my phone. There we go. Now, I will say this particular scene. It scared the shit out of me as a kid, but now as an adult I look at it, that's still a scary scene, but it makes me wonder if Bubba had insidious camping going on here, because as, Sally and Franklin are heading towards the house, Franklin's like, hang on, stop, I hear something, and you hear, just the generator in the background as Franklin's looking around. And then Franklin looks up, shines the flashlight, and Bubba's standing there with the chainsaw already revved up. Like, he didn't need to crank it, he didn't need to do anything. It's just insidious camp done. It comes down with the chainsaw on the Franklin. Just, oh my God. Again, we don't see much, especially with it being a nighttime shot. We don't see much, but we hear the horrible sounds of Franklin's scream. We see blood just kind of, not like aggressively splashing on Bubba, but, a couple little sprinkles here and there. And, of course, Franklin's hand twitches out, drops the flashlight, and Sally's doing the classic final girl scream. Her hands are in her head, and she's, like pulling out her hair. A classic final girl here. And she's just hysterically screaming and runs the fuck off. Now, I timed this. This entire chase from this moment on till she gets to the gas station takes approximately 5 fucking minutes. Now, before I talk about this scene, I'm going to say this. I found out that the actress who played Sally, she's a pretty good runner. She got run throughout most of this movie. Gunnar Hansen's faster than her. And you can tell throughout this chase scene because there's like some weird cuts of Sally. At first it looks like Bubba's like right behind her, and then we cut to another angle, and then suddenly Bubba's like 10 feet back. There are several moments though, it looks like Bubba's on her ass, like NOED has been activated and that 5% haste has kicked the hell in, and he is just on her ass. And then you cut to another scene, whoop, nope, he's further back cutting some trees down. And originally I just thought it was weird editing choices, but then I started thinking about it, and then I got confirmation that maybe Gunnar was just a faster runner than the actress who plays Sally. Which is not the first time that's ever happened. It's just funny because you can kind of clearly tell something's going on there in this chase scene. Oh, well, I love it though. I fucking love it. But, the chase starts, and as the chase goes through, of course, she goes through this pile of like fucked up dead trees and branches and shit. And this of course would happen to me in a horror movie too. Like if I was running for my life from a killer, because I got such amount of hair. For those of y'all who cannot see it on Spotify, my hair reaches down to my butt. That's how long my hair is. So this would be me in this horror movie. But as Sally is asleep, trying to get through all these dead branches and shit, her hair gets caught in the branches and she's screaming, trying to yeet her hair out of these branches. And Bubba, he's trying to get to her, so he's like, into these fucking tree branches. She eventually gets out and keeps on running. Bubba finally gets out. He keeps on running. Of course, she's screaming hysterically. Bubba's just chasing her like a full force here. Chainsaw going. She gets to the farmhouse because she runs there. She's screaming for help. And she goes to get the side garden door, which, if you don't know the side garden, everybody, she's there, and it looks a little different because it's fenced in the game, and the movie it's not. But she, tries to get the side garden door, can't fucking get it. She takes off towards the front of the house. Fucking Bubba comes in, and then does a cartoon slide in some aspect. He doesn't do a full slide, but again, it's one of those editing choices they had to make because he is running faster than her. So he decided to do this to slow himself down. But he ends up taking, coming at her and then turning an aggressive sideways, a very round sideways, and then going at her. And that makes any sense. If not, look at the scene. Look at the scene. Tell me that turn he makes is not the widest turn you ever seen just to chase after some bitch. But Sally runs up to the front of the house, gets into the house, slams the door shut, locks the doors, runs up the fucking stairs, still screaming. Bubba takes the opportunity, since he got locked out of his house and can't find his car keys, or any kind of keys. Hell, I don't know what Bubba was thinking. Honest to God, I don't know what he's thinking, but he starts chopping down his doors. Come on, dude. You telling me nobody gave you a house key? Nobody gave you any kind of keys in general? Seriously. But I digress. The point is, Bubba starts chopping down the fucking door. They fucking get in. Sally runs upstairs to the room where the fuse boxes usually spawn at in the game. She runs in there. She's like, oh my God, please help me. Lands in front of Grandpa. And Grandpa, this is our first time looking at Grandpa, so he looks dead. He looks really, really dead. But he's not dead, though. He's just asleep at this point, apparently. But she looks at him, she goes, oh my God! And it turns around and sees Grandma, who is obviously dead because she's a skeleton. So she screams some more, runs out the house, goes down the stairs. As soon as she gets down the stairs, Bubba finally opens up the door, and he's standing there, and he revs up the chainsaw, and she does the sideways slide on the stairs. It runs back up the stairs, jumps out of a second-story window, right? Out the second-story window, hits the ground pretty fucking hard and just stands there looking around at Bubba and her surroundings Now, originally I thought, why the fuck would you just sit there? Wouldn't you just jump out the window, catch your breath, and then keep running? But then I started thinking about it from Sally's perspective. She watched her brother get killed by a guy with a chainsaw. He's been chasing her through this house, or chasing her through the woods. She runs into a random fucking house, goes up the stairs, because, by the way, she doesn't know that this is Bubba's house. She don't know that, they're related. She just ran to a random house. But she runs to this random house, sees 2 dead bodies, and then had to jump out the window. I would be questioning all of life and existence myself at this point as well. But eventually she catches her breath. Bubba does a little chainsaw dance up at the window and then decides, fuck it, let's go downstairs. So that continues on the chase scene. But she keeps on running through the woods, and there's, of course, several cuts of Bubba almost on her ass, and then cut to Bubba falling bad, and then back and forth, back and forth. So we get to the gas station, and then she gets to the front of the gas station, tries to open, it doesn't work, so she goes to the side of the gas station, just a couple feet down. And before she can open up the door, the chainsaw suddenly stops and goes quiet as soon as she busts on through the door. Bubba just stood there and had Insidious just happen right there. Bubba, do we need to talk about this? What's your deal, bro? You scared her into the cook's place. Why didn't you walk in? Why didn't you be like, hey, bro? I got my theories on that, and I think it's mainly the fact that I don't think Bubba's supposed to leave the house because the cook makes a mention to the hitchhiker later on that you're not supposed to leave your brother alone. Like, maybe he just didn't want to get in trouble? I don't know, because, I mean, the cook's kind of mean to Bubba. I'm not going to lie, the cook's very mean to Bubba. But Sally gets in, she's on the ground, she's like, shut the door, oh my god, he killed Franklin, oh my god, like, she's hysterical, like a motherfucker, and the cook's trying to calm her down. And, again, if you don't know, never seen the movie, the cook is playing nice. So you originally think this guy's supposed to help us. This guy's a good guy because he's like, hey man, yeah, I don't have a working phone, but we could drive to the next county over. We could call the police. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. It's good. There's nobody else out there. He's actually looking out. Like he's being a really cool dude about this shit. And you're like, hey, this guy, I like this guy. And he's like, all right, stay here now. Stay here. Let me get my truck now. I'll be right back. Okay, no, don't move. He goes off and gets the truck. Sally sits in the gas station. Now, I'm going to say this. So, for those of y'all who don't know this, I will give you this fun little information. And this has to pertain with the game. There is an exit in the game. This is the exit. This room that Sally is in is the secret exit that people have been talking about. And how do you get into the secret room? Literally, you go to where that barricade is right before the gate for the generator. It's that room to the right. That's the front of the gas station right there. All you gotta do is walk in, unlock the door. There's the road. And you see it in the movie too. There's the road. So fun fact, everybody, the room Sally is in is the secret room exit. And I knew it right off the bat. As soon as I saw that door and the shelf right there, I was like, hot damn, I know this room. So, for those of y'all who are wondering where that secret exit is at, it's there. But Sally's sitting in the room, and she's hearing the sizzling sound of the meat being cooked and the radio going off about the raids on the graveyard that, someone's digging up bodies and shit. And as she's sitting there, she sees the truck pull up, sees the cook get out, and he goes to the passenger side. And you're thinking, oh my god, this guy's going to be so nice and open up the door for her. That is so sweet. No. He grabs a sack and some rope. And he looks at her. And she looks at him. And she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing would not be the first words escaping out of my mouth. The first words out of my mouth would be, bat the fuck up. That's just me, though. But he's just like, nah, take it easy now. Don't make this hard on yourself. It'll be all right. And she's like, stay away from me. And she grabs this knife, and it's a meat cutting knife. So it's not like a Michael Myers knife over here where it's like very pointy. No. It's just like a little, it almost looks like a bread knife, to be honest. Like an old school bread knife. But she's got the knife. She's like, stay away from me. And the fucking cook, his IQ just went up by like 10 degrees here. He's like, now, take it easy now. You don't need to do this. And he grabs this broom, right? And he proceeds to beat her with the broom. Just like broom beats knife. Ha! And starts just beating her. Now, my thing is, if I was Sally, this would be the final straw for me, okay? I could take many things in life. I could take being chased by a man wielding a chainsaw. I could take, jumping out of a window. I could take watching my brother be hacked to death in front of me by a chainsaw. I could take all that shit. My line to cross is, you don't beat me with a broom, especially in the head. You don't touch my fucking head, bro. You don't do it. You just don't fucking do it. So my ass would be like, fucking like, give me that broom, and I'll start beating him with the broom. But Sally, unfortunately, does not have that insight right there. So he beats her to the point that he breaks the fucking broom head off the broom and knocks her out. That poor fucking broom, man. But, of course, once she's knocked out, he ties her up, puts the sack over her, and carries her to the vehicle, puts her in, goes to take off, realizes he left the lights and door open, so he's got to quickly get out, shut the door, get the lights off, get back in the vehicle, and drives off. And he's just like, price of electricity, you know, that will kill you now. Like, bro's being too casual about all of that, just all of that. But as they're, you know, driving along, he's being extra creepy and kind of a dick. And he's like poking her with the fucking broom handle. And she's screaming, muffled screaming, because she's gagged with a dirty ass rag. And he's just like, I hope you're not too uncomfortable down there. Starts fucking beating her with that broom again. He's like, oh, don't you worry now. You know, this is, you know, it's all be over soon. It'll be alright. You know, all be over soon, you know. It'll be okay, though. And you know, this takes a good minute. Like, we spent a good minute with him driving and just him taunting her and just, like, talking mad shit on her for a good minute. And then he sees the hitchhiker, and he's just like, what did he call him? Call him a coonhead or something like that? I didn't write it down, but he called him a coonhead as he was pulling up. He's like, what is this motherfucker doing? And he opens the door to the, you know, he just opens the door with the broomstick in his hand, by the way. And as soon as he gets out, sees the hitchhiker, he's just like, come here, you nappy hair idiot. You almost got caught. And starts beating him with the fucking broom. And of course the hitchhiker, he knows how to dodge now, so he's like, no, they didn't catch me. I promise you, man, they didn't catch me. They don't know it's me. But he's still getting a couple of good licks in, though. And he's just like, I told you to stay away from that graveyard now. Like, now people are looking like they just know. No, they don't know. Like, bro, it's just that broomstick. Why is that not his weapon in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, okay? He needs that. He don't need a knife. He needs that damn broomstick. He can do some serious damage. There could literally be a finishing move of him just beating somebody to death with a fucking broom and breaking it. That would be so fucking great if they ever added that to the game. Like, straight up. But he gets back in the vehicle, the hitchhiker gets on the side, and they drive up to the house, and he starts yelling at the hitchhiker again. Now, I told you you not to leave your brother alone in this house. Get the girl. Oh my. And then he sees the door, and again, my favorite line is the way he says it, the way he delivers it, the way he looks at the door. But he just straight up opens the screen door and just goes, look what your brother did to my door. Look what he ruined it. Get your ass inside. Like, this man's just having a fucking freak out over the damn door. And of course, Bubba is now in his granny attire, you know, kind of being domestic here. Because, for those of y'all who don't know, you know, like I said, Bubba's not all right in the head. Bubba really don't speak. He makes weird noises, but he don't speak. So the way he projects himself into this world is by his outfits. So, of course, when he's wearing his killing outfit, this is just Bubba on his normal Bubba day. When he's wearing the granny outfit, he's very docile, domestic, you know, just like, yes, sir, yes, I got you. And then when he's wearing his pretty woman outfit, well, he feels like a pretty woman. Simple as that. He just wants to get dressed up to feel pretty. But he's wearing the granny outfit, and of course, you know, the cook comes in, he's just like, where are those other kids at? You didn't let them get away, did you? Where are they? And Bubba, of course, you know, doing Bubba like he literally makes those noises, by the way. I'm not exaggerating. He makes those noises. And he's trying to explain to the cook, though, like he got everybody. But we cut to the hitchhiker bringing Sally in, and he ties her to the chair, and he takes the sack off, and he realizes who she is, and she realizes who it is, and she starts screaming. He starts laughing. He's just like, I just thought you were in a hurry. And starts poking the fuck out of her chest. And eventually we cut back to the cook arguing with Bubba, and he's just like, "Where are the kids?" And, right here, and like, Bubba's pointing at the freezer, pointing at the chainsaw, at the blood, and he's like, "So none of them got away? None? So he sits there and he smiles for a minute. And then the smile fades away and he looks at Bubba and he's just like, "You idiot! You ruined the door!" And he starts beating Bubba with the broomstick. I love that. Just that man, his broomstick. Oh, love it. But as after he gets done beating Bubba, and of course, Hitchhiker having his fun with Sally, Cook comes in and goes, now, go get your grandfather. Now, go get Grandpa. Go get him upstairs. Hitchhiker runs upstairs and looks at Sally, and the cook's just like, now, you take it easy now. Now, you take it easy, okay? We're going to make some supper real soon now, okay? It's going to be all right. And you see Bubba walk out, and he turns and looks at Bubba and is like, "Get your ass back in that kitchen." And Bubba, of course, walks back in. And he looks back at Sally. He's just like, now, supper will be ready now, okay? You gonna like this now. And you see the hitchhiker bringing in Grandpa, and he's like, "Hey, Leatherface, help me with Grandpa now." So Bubba walks over there, grabs Grandpa. They walk him down the stairs, and they take him in front of Sally, and they put him down. He's just like, "Look, Grandpa, look what we got for you." And they grab Sally. And unfortunately, Sally at this point is traumatized because there's been a couple of moments I haven't talked about because it's not really relevant. But it's just her sitting there looking around at her surroundings, looking more at the bone lamps and the fucking blood and everything all over the place. Just her just taking in the environment. But as they get Grandpa all excited, the hitchhiker comes up behind Sally, undoes one of her hands, and cuts her finger, and proceeds to put it in Grandpa's mouth, and he starts moving. And at this point, beforehand, Maxie, now will you stop scratching? Maxie, I swear, we got like 15 fucking rooms in this house, and y'all choose to scratch in here. Sorry about that. Okay, we really don't have 15 fucking rooms, but we do have an entire house of a house they can all go be chilling in, and they decide to chill in the living room, which is the only place that has hardwood floors, by the way. This is the only room in the house that has hardwood floors. Can't go scratch in the other living room that's on my roommate's side of the house with the carpet. No, I gotta come over here. Like, you assholes. But I digress about my life. But yeah, up to this point, though, Grandpa really hasn't moved a lot, so you think he might be, dead, and they're just, like, carrying on the tradition of Grandpa. But no, he's very much alive, very much still steady and everything, and he starts sucking the hell out of the finger, and poor Sally at this point, her adrenaline just fucking crashes straight up, and she just passes out. Oh, God, poor Sally, man. Just poor Sally. I felt bad for Sally. I felt bad for this actress in general. Had to be tied up to a chair legitimately. Get fucking poked and prodded and shit. Like, oh, my God. So now we're at the famous dinner scene where Sally wakes up. She's tied up to the chair. And Bubba is on the right, the hitcher is on the left, and the cook's sitting there on the left as well, and Grandpa's up front. She looks around, and as soon as she wakes up, she starts screaming. I'm talking about, you're talking about Final Girl scream. She's got it, man. She has got it. And as she is screaming, Bubba and the hitchhiker side again on this, and they start howling like a bunch of hyenas, arr, arr, as she's screaming. So there's chaos and madness everywhere, and the fucking cook's like, "All right, now settle down, guys, let's settle down. All right, you bunch of fucking hyenas." He doesn't say fucking hyenas, but he's like, "You bunch of hyenas, quit howling." And as, he tells him to stop, the hitchhiker looks at him, he's like, "We're just trying to have fun." And then Sally, finally musters up her first words out of her mouth is, "Please, you can make them stop." I don't know who she's talking to on this one. Like, who are you asking to make them stop? Who can make them stop? Alright, first of all, those would not be my first words out my mouth. If I was to wake up tied up to a bone chair in front of 3 to 4 motherfuckers, because I don't know about Grandpa, you know, he may still be alive, but that man's like 115 years old and barely hanging on by a thread here. The point is, if I was to wake up tied up to a chair with all these motherfuckers around me, the first words out my mouth would be, "So, gentlemen, which one of you would like the best blowjob in the world?" And the reason why I say that is because it's rather obvious somebody in this group has got to be that fucking horny. Like, somebody's got to be. And I just need that moment of them untying me for that chair before I jump out of a window. Okay? That would be my train of thought. Just, what sexual pleasures can I give these motherfuckers to get out of this situation? Hopefully, Bubba would be the first one to volunteer, and then I could distract him with like a chainsaw trick, I could jump out of a window. He doesn't seem that bright. I feel like he wouldn't know what sex is, even if I gave him a diagram book about it. Granted, I can't really necessarily say that, because if you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, there is a child in that movie. Now, it's not confirmed, but it's not denied either that this child could belong to Bubba. Could. We don't know for a fact or not, but Bubba might have a child. So he might know what sex is. If not, somebody in his family had to walk him through it. The point is, "Please, you can make them stop," would not be the first words out of my mouth. But unfortunately, that's the first words out of Sally's mouth. And of course, the hitchhiker is just mocking her. Just, "Oh, please, please, oh, you know, just being over dramatic and shit. Being a fucking bully." And eventually, you know, they get up and they start fucking with her. You know, like, Bubba's like messing with her hair and the fucking hitchhiker's poking her and shit. And she's just like, "Please, just make them stop." And the hitchhiker just goes, "He can't tell us what to do. He's just the cook. Me and Leatherface do all the work, and you do nothing." And you know, the cook doesn't deny this. He's just like, "Yep, I don't take pleasure in the killing, but you do what you gotta do. Now, wrap this up now." "Oh, well, come on, we're just having some fun here. Come on now, I don't take pleasure in this." "Oh, fine, we'll take care of this. But hey, you said Grandpa was the best killer in town. Why don't we get Grandpa in on this?" "Well, that seems like a mighty fine idea. Let's get Grandpa in on this." Oh my God, just... I'm sorry. All I could think about is Grandpa's the best killer in town. Let's get him on this. You gotta think Grandpa's just sitting there, you know, even though he's like half inches from dead, he's just like, "I was the best killer in town back in my day. Oh, I used to kill a lot." Because even the cook makes a mention saying, "Oh yeah, don't worry, Sally. Grandpa's the best killer. He killed about, I don't know, say about 50, 60 in under 5 minutes. He could have got more, but they couldn't get that one bull out the way." Like, dude killed up to 50 to 60 cows in 5 minutes? Like, how quick was that hammer slam? Just boom, 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 boom. Like, seriously, how fast was this man just slinging that hammer? But before they get all, Grandpa involved in this, of course, we had this another long scene of her freaking the fuck out. We get this up close shot of her eyeball just looking around. We got the music just scoring up like a motherfucker in this place. Very uncomfortable. Everything about this moment makes me uncomfortable. But of course, Bubba is like doing his howling again. The hitchhiker's laughing. Now the cook's laughing. Like, at first he's looking at them like, "I'm not gonna laugh." And then suddenly he looks around and starts laughing like, "You know what? This actually is funny. Watching her being tormented is just a fucking ball." But eventually the hitchhiker grabs her. They adjust Grandpa in the position, and the hitchhiker grabs Sally, unties her. She's trying to fight back. I want to say the best she can, but I feel like someone definitely would be throwing more punches than Sally would at this moment. and he grabs her by the throat and the hair, and he puts her down on her knees, and they put her over this bucket, right? And as they put her over this bucket, they're trying to give Grandpa the hammer. And Grandpa, he don't have the strength like he used to. So Grandpa keeps grabbing the hammer, and then it drops. And then they're like, oh, no, come on, Grandpa, try it again. Okay, now this time, oh, come on, Grandpa. And Grandpa keeps missing. Like, he's either dropping the hammer or he keeps throwing into the bucket. Which also, by the way, the hammer was very much real. That hammer was coming that close to the actress's head. They were low on money here. Low on money. But as they keep trying to, get Grandpa to hit her in the head, they're like, come on, Grandpa, come on, cheering him on. He does get a good hit on Sally on the side of the head, and you see a little bit of blood come out. And right after that, Sally, I guess, gets adrenaline rush number. Someone finished that last fucking generator. She got adrenaline rush right there. But she pops up, and she just proceeds to scream and run to this window and jump the fuck out. Now, here's something I have a problem with this window shot. Okay, so she jumps out that second story window, right? She jumps out that second story window earlier in this movie, hits the ground, continues to run like there's no problem. And this one, however, she jumps out the window from the first floor, hits the ground, and now has a lip. I feel like it should be the other way around, to be honest, but that's just me. But what's really cool about this particular moment is as soon as she jumps out the house, and we get to this zoom in look of, and she's got blood coming out of her head, and she's she's got to get the fuck out of here. She starts running. It's quiet. It's very quiet. It's not like dead silence, but you don't hear the family laughing. You don't hear any trucks coming by. It's just her just running. And then suddenly that silence is broken when you hear the rev of the chainsaw and the door just bust open. You see the hitchhiker coming down the driveway, which again is from the game when you're trying to escape through the front gate. And you see the hitchhiker come up behind her, and he starts cutting her back and her shoulders and her arms and shit with his straight razor, and they wind up in the middle of the road. And right in the middle of the shenanigans, a truck is coming up minding its own business and sees the shenanigans. Now, I believe on any cases that hitchhiker had plenty of time to get the fuck out the way, and or that truck driver had plenty of time to stop. The point is, this accident could have been completely avoided, but the hitchhiker decided not to get the fuck out of the way and just stood there going, ah, with his hands up and everything. Gets run over. I'm like, they run his fucking ass over. Very nice practical effect, by the way. You just see him just get squashed and bloom, bloom, bloom. And fucking Sally, that's the kill that scars her, apparently, because we get an up-close zoom shot of her looking at the hitchhiker get run over. But she runs over to the truck driver, and the truck driver's trying to help her out, and right behind her is Bubba. So both her and the truck driver get into the truck, close the door. Bubba's trying to get inside the truck, so he's fighting with the chainsaw, and they get smart. So they run out the passenger side, the truck driver grabs a wrench, and they run out. So Bubba finally figures this out, so he comes around the side of the vehicle, and he starts chasing after them. Chainsaw's still going, by the way. And the truck driver just turns around and throws the wrench at Bubba, hitting him upside the head. And Bubba falls back. The chainsaw lands on his leg. Now, fun fact. I've been told that during this particular scene, the way they did this light cutting was they filled it up with some meat or something, just some raw meat. And they had something under it so, when the chainsaw fell, it wouldn't cut the dude's actual leg. But unfortunately, the friction of the chainsaw was so fast and strong that it heated up the metal. So the scream we hear from Bubba is him actually screaming in pain because this scene hurt him. Whether that's true or not, I'm not 100% sure, but that's just something I've heard. But unfortunately, Bubba, like I said, he falls, gets, the chainsaw on the leg, he screams, he pops up, and Sally sees another truck coming by, so she's flagging that shit down, oh my god, stop, please stop. And the truck does this nice, like, 180. They turned around, and Sally's just trying to climb the back of this vehicle. And what I find funny, even more funny about this scene, is the truck driver. He don't get into the truck. If you pay attention, the truck driver just keeps running down the road. No one gave a fuck about that truck driver. Nobody. The guy in the pickup truck didn't care. Bubba didn't care. Sally didn't care. I think the only person that cared about that truck driver was himself, because he didn't stop running. He didn't stop running at all. But Sally, she's trying to crawl in the back of the pickup truck, and she's struggling because she decided to climb in from the wheel end instead of the back end like you should. And eventually, the truck driver cranks the truck up and takes off. As soon as Bubba comes up and goes to swing at Sally, misses. And she's just like, drive, slamming her hand on the back of the windshield. The dude's turning around as he keeps, like, driving. Like, that man knows how to take the fuck off, unlike Jerry over here. But as he's driving off, she starts laughing hysterically, like, ha, I made it. I fucking made it. Like, her mental state is just broken at this point. It is gone. It is deceased. Like, we saw the slow spin into despair at the dinner scene. By the time she got to that vehicle, it was just gone. It was just gone. Like, she lost it. Whatever mental stability she had is just gone. But she is hysterically laughing, saying, she made it. She's got out. And we leave off on the shot of Bubba having a tantrum and just flailing his chainsaw around over his head. And we cut to black. And that's the end of the movie. Now, what's also great about that scene is apparently they wanted Bubba, the way Toby wanted it done, he told the actor who played Bubba, just, hey man, just start playing your chainsaw around so we get this like really nice tantrum shot. And he's like, yeah, I could do that, but because it's hard to see in that fucking mask, he nearly fucking got Toby in the face a couple of times with it. But Toby took it with a grain of salt, because he was just like, you know what, that's karma for all the bullshit I put them in. I agree. You deserve a little bit of that karma for all the bullshit you put them in. But yeah, no, it is a wonderful, wonderful way to end this movie. Just watching Bubba throw a tantrum. She got away. Leaves you happy that she's gone, but fearful because of the fact that Bubba's still around. Bubba's still here. So is the cook. Hitchhiker, girl, on the other hand, not so much. But everybody else is still around. But yeah, that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a fantastic film. It's very old school. It's very fun. Is it the greatest horror movie in the world? No, it's not the greatest horror movie, but it is a fun horror movie. It's silly. It's got some good effects to it, especially when you hear about all the drama that happened behind the scenes. Would I recommend you watching it like every day for a Tuesday for the rest of your life? Not really. But if you want to pop it in for a good background sound, or just a fun movie to sit around and just laugh at, it's this movie. It's definitely this movie. I enjoy it. It ranks up there a lot with, Halloween for me, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. He's one of those guys. He's part of the OG crew, man. He's part of the OG crew. Like, because the way I look at the OG crew is the original 70s and 80s horror people. You got Bubba, you got Michael, and you got Jason. All within because Michael and Bubba, of course, Bubba was 74 and Michael was 78. And granted, Jason didn't come in until 81, but I still count them as part of the OG. And then later on, that's when they eventually added Chucky to the lineup, and of course Candyman. And then you got, the next generation, which is like Ghostface and more shit oh God, what's the name of that killer from Urban Legends? I don't think the killer even has a name from Urban Legends. He's just known as the killer. Actually, it's a girl, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, I consider Bubba part of the original quadruple trio of the horror franchise, because he really set a tone. Bubba set a tone for slashers. Granted, Michael, I think he set the tone for all the 101 for slashing, But Bubba was the first slasher in the movie. Now, don't get me wrong. Norman Bates is a killer. He is a killer. But in the movie Psycho, we only see him kill 2 people. We only see him kill 2 people. He kills, of course, Marion Crane, and then kills the cop. We don't see him kill anybody else. We don't hear about him killing anybody else until I think near the ending of the movie where they're draining the lake. And even still, I don't think they make a point, because it's been a minute since I don't watch Psycho. But they don't make a point to say, oh, he's killed over 8 people or 10 people or anything like that. You know, in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in the beginning narrating scene, it's these 5 youths had to go through this bullshit. Let you know, he killed at least 5 of these motherfuckers. And Bubba probably killed a lot more from, you know, them being cannibals and everything. That's why I really can't give it to, you know, Norman Bates being the first slasher, because he's a good killer. Don't get me wrong, he's a killer, but he ain't the slasher. When I think slasher, I think multiple deaths in a horror movie. I think a man who takes a knife or a chainsaw or a machete or any sharp object that should not be used against a human person. That's a slasher right there. You got, again, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legends, Scream, Michael Myers, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, all use very sharp weapons. So does Bubba. But what makes Bubba different from the rest is Bubba uses a chainsaw. The others don't. You don't see Michael really wielding too many chainsaws. I think the one chainsaw you see him wield is in Halloween Kills. During that firefighter scene, which I absolutely love that fucking firefighter scene. I'm not gonna lie, that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. Granted, a lot of people didn't like Kills. I'm one of the few that did. I'm one of the few that actually likes the new trilogy of Halloween. Now, don't get me wrong. It does not hold a candle to the original trilogy they had going on, where it was Halloween 1, 2, then 4, and 5, and 6. Whatever timeline you want to look at, because then you have 1, 2, and then H2O. You know, again, depends on the timeline. But the point is, I like that trilogy. You know, I like the how they transferred everything over to 2018 one. Not a big fan of the title of the movie, though. Like, they really couldn't they just call it Halloween Returns or something like that? Halloween Resurrection 2.0? Some bullshit like that? Did it have to be Halloween? I don't know. But, yeah, I like that one. And I like Kills because that's Michael at his best, bro. That is Michael at his best. It's like the same reason why I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 from Netflix. Is that a good movie? Nah, it's not that great of a movie. Is it a fun movie? Yes, it is. Those deaths are so great. Those practical effects are amazing. Those stupid one-liners just kill me every time. Just try anything, bro, and you're canceled. Like, Bubba gives a fuck. Bubba did not give a fuck about being canceled. Bubba did not give a fuck about being canceled. Well, I originally wanted to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre last week, but unfortunately, because it took me a little bit longer to do the assembly cut than I wanted to, I couldn't get to it last week. But you know what? It all worked out pretty fair, because I think with my scheduling and everything, it might be best just to start moving the podcast to Monday, which at this point, if I'm posting this, it should be Monday. So it gives me time to watch the movie over the weekend, make my notes and stuff, record it, and then go ahead and post it. Because the way my editing and my scheduling is working is I'll play a game Monday. You know, usually it's my big main game. You know, this time around it's Financial Freddy Security Breach. I am going back and replaying that, having loads of fun on that. You know, granted, we're still in the beginning half of the game. It wasn't until about the middle way of the game I was having some problems with it. But I'm still having some fun. I can't wait to see more of it. We only got the first part of the game. We got the daycare section out the way. But, you know, I'm playing that, and then I'll spend that night to that next day editing and getting all readied up and have it posted by Wednesday. And then Tuesday I play something else such as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dead by Daylight, something that hang out with my friends with. And then Thursday I'm editing that to have it posted up and ready on Friday. And then Thursday I would usually sit down, watch the movie, and do the podcast. And I'm not having time to do all this in one. So I think it'd just be better if I just move the podcast to me watching it over the weekends and then uploading it Monday for you guys. I think that would be so much better. And be definitely not as time constraining, because one of the things I worry about is, I got to cook dinner for Eric's when he gets home, and he doesn't get home till like super, super late. So I got time to ship perfectly. Otherwise, the food's not going to be hot and ready. And I like to make sure he has a hot, ready meal when he gets home, because he works long fucking hours at a hot-ass factory. And I care deeply about his stomach, because the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Ask Bubba. That's why he loves women who know how to cook him some good-ass meals. Eric's the same way. But I think this is a good time to go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this video here on YouTube, please give this video a like, subscribe, and a comment down below, because you never know what's going to happen here. I know I can't say the same thing about the Spotify and you guys on Anchor, because y'all can't leave comments down below. But it's always fun to hear from you guys. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do next week. I know I do plan the next couple of weeks to talk about the Alien franchise, because Eric said he would be very interested in talking about that, because he loves the aliens. Sigourney Weaver was like his dream girl back in the day. And, we both love the movies. We have all 6 films, not including the Alien vs. Predator. We have the original 4 plus Prometheus and Covenant. But, unfortunately, we don't have any Alien vs. Predators. Because I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the Alien vs. Predators. And let me explain. The first Alien vs. Predator was PG-13, so there's very little blood, action, or cool moments going on, and they just kept walking the very, very obvious traps, not tracks. What am I thinking? Tracks. Am I tracking somebody? But traps. And the second one, they made it rated R, but they made it so fucking dark you can't see shit. Like, even with my brightness turned all the way up, I still cannot tell you what's going on through half that movie. I literally have to read a Wikipedia page about what goes on in that movie, because I can't tell who dies, who lives, who does what in that movie. Because it's so fucking dark. And that shit pisses me off, because it's rated R, and I know there's a lot of blood and guts in there. And now you're making it that I can't see it. Sad days indeed. But I do plan on talking about it. I figured I could maybe do a ranking with them. We all sit down, have a casual conversation, kind of rank the movies, where we sit the movies at. And how I might even invite Bidwell onto this one, because he might definitely enjoy being part of this podcast. Have, everyone just get together, just talk about what rankings, which one they like the best, which one they like the worst, why they like this one, why they don't like that one. And trust me, I have an interesting list when it comes to Alien franchises movies, because there's some of them I like more than others, but some of them I'm willing to tolerate more than others. But that is the story for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care, and I'll figure out something to watch next week for you guys. I don't know. Well, I'll have to debate it, so it'll be more of a surprise for you guys for next week. But like I said, until then, y'all take care.